Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm K-Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
It's been a while.
It has. I was dealing with some serious pollen allergies. I still am, but last weekend was real bad. It's bad when your phone basically just says "Don't go outside." I mean, it didn't literally say that, but it's like conditions for being outside. Not if you don't have to.
Were you feeling sus?
No. No, because I do not live in the hood. Nobody talks like that.
You're also not from among us.
Yeah, and I'm also not a fucking translator for a crappy anime localization group. Anyway, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Okay.
So before we get too deep into it,
just sounds like it. That just sounded. I just heard that in my own head, and it just sounds like I'm trying to do the thing like morning coffee shows do, where they're sitting there like yeah, exactly, where they're sitting there with kind of like subdued music, and they've got a cup of coffee, and they're just like,
I managed to pull my neck.
It's morning. Well, yeah, it's like guy, man. Yeah, it's like guys try to do that, and they end up fucking their neck up.
All right, so before we get too deep into it, here's how you get involved with the show. If you're listening live, you go to ntrradio.net. You click on the live chat link. That'll bring you to the page where you put in your name, you put in your nickname, and hit the button and join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, you can take your favorite IRC client and point it at irc.ryzen.net and join us in the # SLC media channel. In addition, you can get at us on Twitter at TAnubis, at VZMK2, at NTR_radio. And as always, the email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com.
If you want to hate mail that you want us to read on air, and we might, if we're amused enough.
If it's creative.
Yeah, if it's creative, or if you're just some weirdo in the former Soviet blocks, and for some reason you think our show is a different show, we're also willing to read that, but probably not in the way you intended.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was still one of the more puzzling moments of our history, really. We got this just weird email from some guy in was it like Moscow or something?
It was somewhere from Russia.
Yeah, it was Russia for sure, but I don't know specifically where. But he clearly thought we were a different program than we are, which is kind of funny and sort of the maybe you just really like the Ukraine bit from way back. Maybe they just thought that was really funny.
Maybe because we mentioned strike witches and maybe said something about Sanya.
Yeah, he's a really big Sanya fan, which I don't blame him. She's pretty cool.
She has a nice butt.
Very much so. That is her best feature, absolutely. Speaking of which, speaking of butts, I was actually looking at that Moe Dictators book again because it somehow got back into my peripheral vision somehow. I don't remember where I saw it. And something interesting about that. If I'm not mistaken, there's like 70 of them in there. Something like that. I'd have to look it up. I actually don't have a copy digitally even on me right now. That's one of those books that I think someone like, I don't know, Faku or somebody could put out if they really wanted to. I don't know why they would, because it's not actually pornographic, but
Denpa. If that group of companies were to put it out, it would probably be Denpa that put it out.
Yeah,
they're the one that put out Future Log by.
The thing is I'm not sure I trust any company to actually put it out and not fuck with it. Because given the nature of what it is, I can totally see somebody like trying to put warnings or some kind of like bullshit in there.
Hiyashike Books presents.
I mean, listen, if I had the resources, I would definitely license it and put it out.
It's just like it's okay now. I don't
let's
mean
do a
I don't.
Kickstarter to get to have my company get the license to the Moe Dictators book. I should probably stop because things I say as jokes end up coming true. Because I'm coming out with an album next week, apparently.
Okay, is that the one with the image you showed me?
That's the
Where you
one.
kind of
That's the one where the Geeky Panda took a picture of me, looking like a cult leader at at some convention in like
or like somebody
2017.
that's hanging out in the morgue or something.
Yeah, and I told him, "Yo, why does this look like the cover of my next mixtape?" And
That's funny.
why does Time Force Anubis look like he's about to drop the hottest mixtape of 2017? And then I said, you know what? If I actually make a mixtape, because this is before I ever decided, yeah, I'm gonna start making music. I said, I'll make this the cover of my album if I ever put out an album. And then I made the
Yeah.
joke that, if I ever come out with a series of mixtapes, I'm just gonna call it the first paradigm, the second paradigm, because I use that word all the time. And so now the first paradigm is coming out this week.
That reminds me of English prog rockers King Crimson, because they don't call their albums, they call them observations. And
I kind of like. I kind of can't even hate on being like semi-pretentious about like that
well,
about
it's
your
prog,
music.
of course it's pretentious.
So, but it's like, yeah, like just do it. Like Lil B the bass god. Like if you're out here hating on Lil B the bass god, like what are you doing? Go and listen to Ellen DeGeneres by Lil B the bass god, and try and hate on him. Because yes, it's awful. But he's making it. It's not like he's trying to. But it's not like
the Ellen DeGeneres. They're like, what the fuck?
It's not like he's trying to like make really good music. He's just making what he wants to make, and like if you're hating on that, I don't know why you're wasting your time.
Yeah. I should point out that one of the things I do for fun, sort of as a off hobby, is. Now, everybody who knows me knows I like extreme music and that sort of thing. Not all I like, of course, but one thing I do like, though, is looking up bands and stuff that really are just sort of a joke. And that their extremity and all that is clearly just bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't actually listen to their music, but I just look for the amusing song titles or album covers and stuff. Most of the time it's gore or something like that. But occasionally you'll run across stuff that's even more bizarre. Like it'll either be abstract art, which is actually worse than the gore most of the time. Or occasionally, if you're having a good fun time, you'll have hentai or something. Like one Russian like brutal death metal band, I can't think of their name offhand, but like the first 3 album covers are just Kirino from Orem Emo just like getting blasted with splooge.
Oh, okay. You gotta send me this.
Yeah, like I was fucking roaring.
You gotta find this and send it to
Lord.
me. I need.
Like I'm not even kidding. It's like, and it's not like something that somebody made here. It's clearly like images they took from actual covers of doujins. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to, I'll dig it out later in case other people want to look it up. Which I guess our audience might find that amusing. I don't know. I mean,
anyway, stuff. What are you guys watching?
I watch shit.
I have been busy this week because I'm prepping to go outside of the state. And there's a bunch of bullshit, but we do have a high itinerary of things we're planning to watch. A bunch. How much we'll get done, I don't know, but there's going to be a lot of stuff. So the next time, I will probably have the longest intro piece we have for that aspect of it. Yeah, so some of it won't be new stuff, but who gives a shit? But, a combination of just old favorites and stuff I haven't seen that my buddies want me to check out. So it's all good. Oh, that reminds me. I have on pre-order the History of Hentai, or Arrow Manga Expression, or whatever they're calling it.
Oh, yeah, I still need to order that.
It's... I think it's technically officially coming out the 28th. I'll be gone when it does. And that's when they ship it out or something like that. So I don't expect that to be our episode on that not to show up for a little bit, because not only do you got to wait to get it, but then you got to read it. It's
Yeah,
400 pages or something like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty respectable book.
I mean, it might not be big in the terms of the actual like print. I don't know. That usually determines if 400 pages is a big book or if it's just really easy to read. Because if you look at something like those Patrick Galbraith books, the print's pretty big.
Yeah.
And everything is very nicely spaced and very easy on the eyes. Where I've seen some books that I can't read without a magnifying glass. Like I have a really old copy of a Dean Koontz book called Lightning, and I can't actually read it. It's that small a print. I mean, my eyesight sucks anyway, clearly, but I mean, this is ridiculous. It's like, what is this? What are they trying to write this in fucking some sort of, D&D language or something? What the fuck? Anyway, it's an old book that actually wasn't mine, but I still managed to. It's got time traveling Nazis. I thought it might be interesting.
Anyway, before I talk about what I've been watching, I got something in the mail last week.
You hang on. Hang on.
Yeah.
You got mail.
Yeah.
Really, Anubis?
I have the soundboard. I have to use it.
Yeah. So this turned out to be bigger than I thought it was. Thought it was going to be the box. The high grade UC bound dock from Sega Gundam.
The onion hat from Suleiman the Great.
Please send your high grade UC messages to Time of Anubis.
Don't do that.
P.O. Box.
Never do that.
At least send a dozen.
It would be funny if somebody did, like, randomly, and it was like you didn't know who did it.
Yes.
I just want to see his face, like.
It's just like, well, who sent me this thing? What the fuck?
We'd have to go on a quest to backtrace the entire thing back to the same person.
Did you say backtrace?
Yeah.
I backtraced it.
I backtraced it.
Have to go on an investigation.
What? Oh god! Oh, what did he actually say? It was just like, I know it was you because I
know who was
it.
doing it because I backtraced it.
I got the cyber police.
Well, in modern times, it's circle back. I'm sure you've been hearing that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. We'll circle back to that. No, we won't.
Yeah. But yeah, the bound dock.
I haven't built it yet, but yeah, that's it's big for the scale of the line.
Well, yeah, it was a big mobile suit to begin with, wasn't it?
Yeah, and transformable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
transforms
and
into an onion.
Rosamia Bottom. That's her name. That's her last name. Yeah.
Yeah, the purple-haired cyber new type, right?
Yeah. Yep. Which is actually the first thing, because the first kit, it was actually my mother. I think I was like 10 or 11. Bought me at a Star Trek convention. The model
Your mom was
kit.
at a Star Trek convention?
Yeah, this was in the 90s. This was in the early 90s, and I didn't.
Was she the only woman there?
No, there were women that liked Star Trek then.
In the 90s? Anyway. That was a rare breed.
Anyway, well, who do you think invented /fiction?
Good point.
Yeah. Anyway, so she brought back this thing. I won't get too into it because we'll make a good story in another time. But basically, that was the first thing I ever saw of Gundam, and in the instruction manual, I had a picture of Rosamia. But and I couldn't. My brain couldn't figure out. Oh, this is obviously a bad guy robot, but why is there a pretty girl? There. Why is the pretty girl the pilot? I couldn't
put two and two together.
Yeah, again, because you're so used to like Western tropes of like good and evil.
People who pilot bad robots in our Saturday morning shows and whatnot usually have like fucking like furrowed brows and shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I had to
quite obviously evil.
Well, here's the funny thing, because I also had the kit of the the name is really weird, but the Burgess Gyros from F91. And
I'll
the
be real with you.
character.
I'm gonna be real with you. That name sounds like something you'd order at a fucking Greek restaurant.
Yeah, I'll have some Burgess Gyros.
Honestly, that's as far as weird names for mobile suits go. That's not even like that's a
You
That's
mean
like a
you
3
don't
out of
want
5.
you mean you don't want to be in the O?
the well, that's like a 3 out of 5 too. But I'm like talking to like the Vagina or whatever
Yeah,
the
it was
fuck it's
basically
called.
vagina.
Yeah.
It's busy. Anagram for vagina.
Honestly, I think
no-
Boundock is weirder than Burger Gyros.
But the pilot is, is like, oh, he has an eye patch. That's an obviously,
Yeah, because as we all know, people with eye patches are bad guys, as denoted by that guy from Texas.
No, their emblem is a crossbones. Up, they're definitely
Oh,
evil.
I can't think of that guy's name, but you know who I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Isn't he he's like a congressman, right?
yeah. He's I believe, representative. I think he's a representative.
Yeah, like House of Rep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look. I actually do know
He's
his name, and who cares?
He's basically Big Boss if Big Boss went into the government instead of started a
All right.
POC.
Moving along.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We got a great comment here. Send an Ayase figure to Anubis as a gag
Don't
gift.
do that. Don't do
Okay.
that.
I
I have an ideological opposition to harming anime figures, but I'm gonna be conflicted about that if you do that, so don't do that.
Insert hot glue jokes here. I don't want to waste that on that. Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm waiting for is the HGUC Nightingale, because I'm ready for that.
Yeah. Here's the thing about that.
I'm not ready for that because I don't have
Bastard
the shelf space for it, but I'm ready for that.
Bastard costs as much as the Reborn 1/100 version of that,
Oof.
and I don't know why.
Damn, I'm gonna be conflicted because I would definitely want the Reborn 100, but I definitely know I do not have shelf space for that.
I say get just the high grade UC.
I might
A little
get
bit
the high
smaller,
grade
but
UC.
still the presence for it. Anyway, moving along. We gotta talk about shit I'm watching. I know someone in our chat's gonna like this one, and it actually surprised me because I didn't know this was coming out until this is the they're having shorts for Maid Dragon.
Do they have the girls licking? No. Not, you don't mean those kind of shorts.
Yeah, they're all.
I'm sure,
like
have you
a
seen
minute
those?
and change.
Have you seen those?
Mm,
The Toho show shorts?
no,
Where it's like the girls licking the crotch area.
that's some fan thing.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure it's not like an official piece, but I've seen it before. I've never seen anybody wearing it, but I've seen it.
Anyway,
around.
it's it's more Kobayashi, and no, Iluru isn't in it because they're saving her for the main series. Obviously, actually what I love is the way they did the end theme, because Anubis would love this. It's basically like a parody of an on-rail shooters,
Ooh,
similar to like a Panzer Dragoon, but done in like an almost Minecraft style.
huh?
That's the closest analogy that I could give it to.
I'm gonna announce this because somebody might be interested. I'm not gonna do it, but it's apparently out there. The first 15 minutes of Hathaway's Flash is out there.
Ooh,
I'm just gonna wait till the
Yeah, me too. But
I'm
for
gonna
those
be
of you
tempted,
that have
but
like a gambling addiction or something, or have no impulse control, it's there.
Hmm.
And I admit it's tempting. I've seen like 3 or 4 of the trailers or whatever. So it is tempting, but
I want that Zai or I've heard it pronounced Kashi because that's how the Greek letter is said.
yeah.
But for now I'm saying Zai because that's how it's phonetically written.
Fair enough.
The Zai Gundam. I'd really like to get that at some point. That thing is huge. Anyway, okay, so SSS Dynazeon, or I just say Dynazeon.
Yeah, or you could, or if you don't want to confuse people, just say, "Hey, the sequel to Gridman."
Yeah, but basically, it's okay.
I've been hearing that, which is a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, it's like even the original one was a little bit better than this. It feels very disjointed. It's like a bunch of like nothing. The only thing I could call it is just nonsense that has nothing to do with anything, and then up a kaiju
A
fight.
deal breaker, by the way.
No, I'm still watching. I
mean, if you watched the '80s OVA, you know about nonsensical things that don't work.
I love the design of that one girl, Chisei.
You're gonna have to post a picture, man, my dude.
Okay, I will post that in the chat.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't even know where to find a good pic.
Did we last time talk about Macross?
The
whole Macross thing?
Wait,
no,
I still have more stuff to.
The Macross thing wasn't a.
No, I'm just throwing it out there because I don't know if we did or not.
No, the Macross thing wasn't a thing when we recorded last episode.
So we're definitely gonna have to do probably a Let's News about that.
Yeah, I have the article pulled up.
Okay, cool. Okay, foreshadowing. Continue.
Okay, I'll do it this way. Here, I'll just post from my Twitter what she looks like. Anyway, love her design. You'll know the second you'll see her.
Okay, here's the linky. So, come on. Oh yeah, I see why you like her. Not my type, but I see why you do.
Yeah. Definitely a little hooligan, and only Transformers fans will get that joke.
I'm sorry, that's just such a funny word for Americans to say. They're a hooligan.
Yeah, well, no, Transformer fans will get the reference if you don't look up Transformers hooligan.
Well, that's fair, but you know, I usually hear Brits say it.
I know. Okay. The surprise of the season is actually called Super Cub, which is the one with the motorcycle. That's not a very
endearing name, no.
No, but it is the one about the we were talking about in the last time, the girl in the motorcycle. It's not a comedy show. It's just like a slice of life thing.
Okay.
It's really good. It's actually really good. It's the best show of the season. Especially if you like scenery.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, well, there's usually at least a couple of scenery porn things that pop out every season.
Yes. I'm also watching Let's Make a Mug 2, which is only at 14 minutes an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's pretty good too. That's the one about girls and pottery.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm actually looking at the TV promo for that right now. Actually, the Super Cub thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. That room looks like Ray's. Because it's all dark and like the windows are all kind of covered. You could almost see like a test tube or something. Anyway.
The one that so one I had to drop was the one from Doga Kobo called Osamake.
I'm gonna need the defibrillator. He dropped a Doga Kobo show.
I've dropped some of their other shows. But the thing is, this is clearly like doing it because they were contracted to and not showing any passion for. First off, yeah, the animation is not. I'd say I could have maybe if the animation was better, the art was better, but it's not. And
I think you guys will enjoy this. It's a slight memory lane almost kind of thing. There is one thing I was watching that I think you'll enjoy. I was looking at sort of like old music videos for anime. And by that, I don't mean AMVs. I mean things that were professionally put together. And like in trailers, like old ADV trailers and stuff like that. And it just reminded me of something that not only have I not seen in a long time, but I honestly forgot about the show a little bit. 801 TTS Airbats.
Yeah.
That's one I never checked out, but
It's
I
good.
it had a really catchy theme song, and it was obviously, wasn't it kind of co-sponsored by the Japanese Air Force industry?
The Air Self-Defense Force. I think so. Don't quote me on that, but I can check.
Anyway, I was looking at some old ADV trailers. For those of you who are new to anime, ADV films ultimately became Sentai in Section 23?
yeah.
Yeah.
When they sort of liquidated, and I mean,
Yeah,
technically
Sentai.
they technically still exist, but
It's basically a reorganization of ADV.
Yeah.
Like I call Section 23 Sentai Acer Holdings. I basically just call that the former ADV family because that's basically what it is.
yeah, same people that work there, at least some of the big wigs anyway. I'm sure there's some different ones now, but anyway, I was watching these old trailers and that showed up along with some other ones that I just hadn't seen in forever, like City Hunter things.
I love the CPM trailers.
I don't remember most of those.
The one that had a Genocyber. The one that
Oh
used the
yeah,
genocide.
yeah. Weirdly enough, I actually used to see that at the end of Rotsuka Doji, which sort of fit. I mean, it really did.
Did you like this? Well, this is something kind of similar.
It just doesn't have the tentacle rape, but it does have a lot of killing.
It's a little bit more tame than what you just watched, but we think you'll like it anyway.
Because
The,
people get butchered by gunfire and helicopters and all kinds of fun stuff.
The funniest one. The funniest one is still
Dude,
like,
what was that about?
yeah, I'm sorry. The funniest
Someone
one.
give this kid some Valium.
The funniest one was it is a little late, but not too late here. The funniest one is still like the manga entertainment, the UK one.
I think those were funny. I just thought they were misleading.
Well, again, like just
Those would be a lot
no.
funnier. Those would be a lot funnier if there weren't droves of idiots who actually were suckered in by that.
Oh, also the streamline one, because that was the one that was like the cutting edge of animation.
To be fair, I think a lot of them tried to do that angle.
Yeah,
that wasn't just them. Even ADV to some extent did that.
You know, the cutting edge of animation.
Yeah, and they'd play something like 10 years old or some shit. And it's just like, come on, people. You know,
Imagine your entire industry for decades trying to market itself as something so
it's not.
well it's trying to market itself as something so wildly out and away
Inaccurate.
different from other animation that's might be catered to adults, and then in 2021 when faced with antitrust scrutiny, the two biggest companies in your industry try to argue to the Department of Justice that anime is actually just basically the same thing as The Simpsons.
Yeah. I mean, like,
See how far we've
like
come.
right before you get killed, they just yell "doe" or "oakley dokley." I mean, it's all the same,
Genocyber is just like Itchy and Scratchy.
That one actually is a little more believable because there's. I mean, think about that for a minute. I mean, that was a parody of ultra violent stuff anyway. Like Tom and Jerry and so forth. Which a lot of people I don't think really appreciated how violent that actually was. I mean, like opening an umbrella in its mouth, in the cat's mouth, or being beat with like an anvil, or run up and down with a lawnmower. I mean, good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I'm also watching the new Eurocamp drama, the live action one.
Mm-hmm.
And
I haven't watched it yet, but I have got season 2 of Non Non Biori on queue.
Excellent.
I'm very looking forward to it. I really like the first one.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't start yet because I'm going to be out of town here, and I didn't want to get like a couple episodes in and have to refresh myself.
They have a set. Sentai has a set that has both first and second season on there.
Yeah,
so
like if I I mean, I've been kind of hoarding money here lately for various reasons, but Next time I make a purchase,
He's
like
a
when I get
hoarder. Put him in some
not that
hoarding
kind of
stuff.
hoarding. No, I'm not that guy at all. In fact, I've gotten rid of shit that a lot of people don't get rid of, like yearbooks and shit.
Yearbooks. I don't want to see myself. I don't want to see.
I don't want to see these fucking boogers anymore. There's a fucking reason I don't go to these reunions. Are you okay, man? Like, what's wrong, man?
I don't think I've
Why was
ever
that
heard
funny?
someone call someone else a booger in as an insult like that.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys had this problem, but when I was in grade school, they used to have the booger wall.
That's absolutely
Apparently, this was a
disgusting.
pretty common experience. So if
We had
you
the booger book in my school.
That is absolutely disgusting. I'm no longer
So
laughing.
that was like they used to pass out like the social studies book.
Oh no,
And one kid
dude.
put, yep. And so if you got the booger book,
No,
That's absolutely
The
disgusting.
wall was worse. Let me explain how this was worse. And I know that, and I know the listeners now are thinking, "Oh God, I don't want to hear this story."
I'm just sitting here with the article open, ready to get into the news. We're talking about the booger wall somehow. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
I don't know how the
Well,
show ended up like this.
yeah. I mean, I've heard of being off topic, but this is definitely. Anyway, what it was in the bathroom everybody used in my grade school. Okay, you would have to go upstairs, and there it was. There was other bathrooms, but that was the one closest to the actual room for the most part. And you'd go in there, and you'd have, I think it was 3 or 4 stalls, and then on the other side of that, you had, on the left, you had the sinks, and on the right, you had the big urinal trough, as I like to call it, because it was just one really big, long one. I think you know what I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you didn't have one, you get the idea. Anyway, on the leftmost stall is where the booger wall was. People would wipe their nose and smear it on this fucking wall. And yes, it's just as disgusting as it sounds. But it gets worse, because what would happen is when people got fucking messed with while they were in the bathroom or beat up or something, they would shove them and smack them into the wall. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, gross. But hey, that's grade school for you, man. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
booger book. All right. Yeah.
Like I said, I have the
we got
article open,
news.
VZ. So we can move on to news whenever you're ready.
Okay. Nah, I did everything.
Excellent.
Let's news.
Working to restore power.
Real big news. Real big news. So we did an
Has
episode.
been reissued.
Yeah, we did an episode a long while ago when the case was closed finally, the decades-long legal battle between basically the BattleTech community and Harmony Gold over some designs that the original BattleTech game used way back in the day that Harmony Gold had a problem with.
And they wonderfully got their shit kicked in, by the way.
Yes, indeed. And
I'm not going to say this because I don't usually like when companies fail, but fuck Harmony Gold.
you know what? Yeah, no, I agree with it. As a member of the BattleTech community, yes, I agree with that. But so
I'm a member of the BattleTech community, and I agree with that.
big news came out a few weeks ago, and I'll just read you the press release.
It's pretty neat.
Tokyo-based Big West Company and Los Angeles-based Harmony Gold USA announced an agreement regarding the worldwide rights for the legendary Macross and Robotech franchises. This expansive agreement, signed by both companies on March 1st, 2021, ends 2 decades of disagreements and will allow Big West and Harmony Gold to chart a new path that will unlock the great potential of both the Macross and Robotech franchises worldwide. The landmark agreement immediately permits worldwide distribution of most of the Macross films and television sequels worldwide, and also confirms that Big West will not oppose the Japanese release of an anticipated upcoming live-action Robotech film. The agreement also recognizes Harmony Gold's long-standing exclusive license with Tatsunoko for the use of the 41 Macross characters and mecha in the Robotech television series and related merchandise throughout the world, excluding Japan. Moving forward, both parties will cooperate on distribution regarding future Macross and Robotech projects for the benefit of both franchises. So Macross is free. Like, Macross is no longer held in the clutches of this legal battle, and
Of the butt face that is of the millennial butt face that is Harmony Gold.
yeah, and not only that, but it also appears that Big West is acknowledging the existence of Robotech, which you could look at that either way. It's kind of weird that, like, it's weird to me that, like, okay, now Robotech can go back to Japan, where it already came from, because it was originally Macross.
Yeah, it's weird at the same time that it took this long for it to happen, but that was one of those things where they did everything in their power and more to block this from coming out the way it was supposed to.
Well, yeah, and you had that whole thing where, like, I think what happened was, like, Manga Entertainment caught Harmony Gold slipping and managed to grab the licenses for Macross Plus and Macross 2. And
Which if you were lucky to get them, you really were lucky to get them.
I got those DVDs, please believe. And as far as I understand, they continue to renew that license to this day.
Yeah. So anyhow,
So it
good news
looks
is-
like so we've already
I
got,
think they
like,
have those anymore. Honestly, I think all they sell now is like Redline and Ghost in the Shell.
well, whether or not they're selling them, but
it's not really the point.
yeah, the issue
The
is
point
whether or
was
not they
did
have
at
the
the time
license.
they snuck in and grabbed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that I know. That I remember. 'Cause I had the Macross 2 DVD.
I did not have any of them. That's why I said you were lucky. That being said, this frees it up to where we'll probably actually get it now.
Well, so
With-
right now you can go on YouTube and watch all of Macross Flashback 2012. The whole thing's
wow.
on YouTube for free on the official Macross channel.
Well, there you have it. So it really is disheartening when you have a mega franchise like Macross being in limbo like that for almost as long as I've been alive.
Yeah. And so
Also,
what it looks
I was-
like is that it's going to be Harmony Gold that has that will bear the responsibility to bring the rest of the stuff over, stuff like Frontier, stuff like Delta, stuff like Zero. So
Which
that
it's like-
remains
it
to be
looks
seen.
like
I
this.
still don't trust them. But the news is that Macross is finally free from this
Scourge.
tug of war.
Yeah, I mean, because most people that I know that are mecha fans, by any stretch, would like to have it, and not just particularly have some questionable Hong Kong bootleg or some shit.
Right.
no, what I also hope comes out of this is, like now, Western import sites can have Macross stuff now on their site.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now you
I assume that's probably part of it, but maybe not, because a lot of people don't know this, but Japanese licensing stuff can be really fucking entangled.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And if you need proof of this, look at the music industry there. It's wild sometimes.
Well, yeah.
That's probably why 7 won't. That probably won't include, because
Right.
I hear that's a music
Like, I'll give you an example of shows that were in limbo forever because of the music rights. The Wonder Years was one. Because it uses a lot of music from the time it's portrayed in, which is the 60s and whatnot.
Well, we still can't get a good official release of the Daikon 4 animation.
Mm-hmm. Another one that a little more recent than that was Daria for the same reason. Because it had a lot of 90s like pop music and stuff. That the thing is the licensing deals get complicated because home video is not the same as syndication rights. A lot of people don't seem to get that. Like, just because you have the rights to show it on TV in syndication does not give you the same right to put it out on a DVD or whatever. The music, I mean. Right.
That's like how on Twitter I did not what I just posted. That's something else. But I made a joke about the show Macron 1, which is the 80s release where they combine two robot shows, Go Shogun and Strungle, to do basically like a Robotech type of thing, where it's like, oh, these shows are in the same universe, but only in the TV broadcast version, not in the like cassette versions that they had. They called this like the Miami Vice thing, where they would take like top 10 songs and use that as a soundtrack. And they did the same thing, but that makes it like impossible. To release.
Yeah.
So especially using anything Michael Jackson, which they did in the show.
I'm just having some Sonic 3 amusement here.
Yeah. I feel you.
I'm sure some video games have had to do this too in general. Besides that, like obviously the Guitar Hero ones, I'm sure they got the blessing of everybody before they even tried anything, though. I would assume. Otherwise, there'd probably be lawsuits aplenty.
Yeah.
But then there was other games too, like Brutal Legend and whatnot. I don't know if any of you even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I've heard of that game. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's got like a soundtrack like that, where it's just a bunch of stuff like that. Where I'm sure they probably got basically all the stuff before they even put it out. Anyway,
yeah. Macross is free, but the rest remains to be seen. I'm still cautious because it's Harmony Gold.
And as we all know, you trust Harmony Gold like you trust the fox in the hen house.
Yeah.
I mean really. It's like trusting fucking a school janitor and an Aragay.
Well, it's like they spent so long trying to, like, going after whoever owned the BattleTech license at the time. They went after FASA. They went after fucking Smith and Tinker. They went after
That's the other weird thing,
Harebrained
is
Schemes
when
for
licenses
like 2
change
decades.
hands like that. Like, you know what I mean? When it changes hands, like somebody changes fucking, their underwear or something.
Yeah.
And because then they constantly got to move around. They're following them around. The licenses get even more entangled. Because it's gotta be a complete headache for fucking lawyers. You know it does. Where they're sitting there like. Anyhow, so bottom line, one step closer to Macross not being in limbo.
Yes.
Yeah. If anything, at least a good high resolution release of Do You Remember Love?
Yeah,
I would
which
like
let's
that.
let's be real, is what everybody wants.
True.
It's like at the end of the day, that's probably the thing everybody wants the most. Is an actual non-shitty version of that. So anyway, good stuff. I mean, I didn't really go into it much, but yeah, I'll be heading out tomorrow to, well, I'll just say out of state. I guess it really doesn't matter where I'm going. So you stalkers out there.
He's going to Mars, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Remember when Bush said that? We're going to go to Mars. Yeah, because there's not problems here that need to be fixed. We're going to go to Mars.
No, I thought he said he wanted to do the moon again.
Does it really matter? Since he didn't do either one of those.
Yeah.
But he did. At the end of the day, he did tell us that our children's was learning.
All right.
To be fair, I miss Bushisms. A lot of those are actually pretty amusing.
All right. So we have a main topic. We have a couple actually, and we're gonna
Yeah,
try and
we
tie them
have a-
together.
We were kind of passing around a couple of these. One of which we're still gonna do. We're just gonna put it on the in reserve, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
And we had two of these that were actually sort of combining because they really do kind of work congruently, I think. Well, or maybe not, but at least they dovetail into each other without really a weird wall popping up.
Yeah. Yeah. We can make this work. So I'm gonna start this off with an assertion. If your primary approach to anime is identity based, meaning you're looking for an anime for women because you're a woman, you're looking for an anime for black people because you're a black person, you're looking for an anime for LGBT people because you're LGBT. If that's your primary approach to anime, you're setting yourself up to be massively disappointed with 90% of anime's cultural output, and you really only have yourself to blame for that.
And I'm gonna be real. If you get mad about this, you're just gonna look like a dickhead.
So what kind of sparked this off was going around some parts of Annie Twitter was getting this one YouTube video was being passed around about how this person watched 4 isekai anime and was disappointed, and now they're tired of isekai because they watched 4 of them, and decided, hey, now I'm tired of this anime, this entire like genre, but not really, of anime that I've watched 4 of, because because what I'm really looking for is an anime for women, quote unquote. And all the isekai I watched were disappointing to me, so now I'm tired of isekai. Well, that was the premise of the video.
Whispers in that person's ear. Escaflowne.
Well, to be honest though,
That's a isekai.
how hard is it to watch something that isn't isekai though? I mean, there's so much more shit out there.
I mean,
But I have to
You're
because
right.
other people are, because I got to be part of the club. But I
yeah,
also gotta.
that's a big thing, is that it's an issue of,
Anime bullshit.
well, it's an issue of popularity.
Mhm.
So okay, I
Oh, you mean like when people got pissy about Clannad?
yeah, exactly. Like, what this
It was
person
being
really
promoted
wants
as a
is,
really popular show, and it was not in their wheelhouse at all.
you know,
And then they throw a fit because no, the show's wrong. I'm not wrong.
yeah. So I was watching that video and I'm like, well, I think I found your problem. Your problem is that you're looking for an anime for women, and additionally, you're assuming that anything that isn't that is made for men, and that's why you don't like it.
Also, that assumes if something is made for men, that it's inherently bad.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Also, fan service. That if it's fan service, it automatically is.
well,
Oh,
that means it's made for men.
Yeah.
Although that-
or very, very open-minded women.
But so I was thinking, it's like, the problem is the identity basis. Because if you're looking for just a very specific thing, and especially if you're only looking in the most popular realms of anime, yeah, you're gonna be disappointed, and you're gonna get upset, and there's really, like, you can't blame anime for that.
Well, they're going to, but they shouldn't.
They're,
I mean,
they're going to, but, like, what are you gonna do? How do you solve that problem? Like, how do you solve that problem?
to me, it really does just sounds like a lot of brats whining that something isn't. When things aren't made for them, they shouldn't exist. I mean, it really does seem like that because it's like, oh, thing XYZ isn't for me, and that bothers me. Why
You
does
have decades worth to look through. Why does it have to be? I keep saying this. Why does it have to be only the now?
Because they're
And yeah.
chasing clout, and you can't
Well,
get
yeah,
clout.
I know that.
You can't get clout with these people by, hey, have you seen this Mazinger Z thing?
Well, and then another
I don't
part
think
of
that
it.
person's gonna be Mazinger Z, but I
A-
get
another
your.
another part of it is like, yeah, if they do go into the past and look at all the stuff that came out before, then the narrative is gonna be, well, there was all this anime, quote, for women, unquote, back in the 90s and the early 2000s or whatever. Where is all
You
of
can
it
cherry
now?
pick.
It's like where's all? It's gonna look, because they're approaching it from an identity paradigm. It's gonna look like,
Really the same thing that people like Colony Drop did, where they would say, like, anime used to be good and manly and this and all this other stupid shit.
well, it's the
Um,
same shit we heard back
Manime.
during the back during
it's a different group, but it's the same argumentation.
yeah. They're looking for a very specific kind of anime. They're not finding it. When they are finding a bunch of stuff that they specifically find distasteful, so a anime has changed somehow, and don't stop
Funny
to
to hear-
consider that.
Always funny to hear that from noobs. Anime has changed. You haven't been in this 5 years.
Yeah.
You can't make that comment. I'm sorry, you sound like a doofus when you do.
In the chat, Moe is killing anime. Oh, you have no idea how much I've heard that. All right.
What's funny about that is, by their standards, Moe has largely sort of morphed into the idol culture.
Well, I don't really hear
or at least that's where that kind of behavior went.
Yeah. But again, it's less today about moes, and now it's like isekai is killing anime.
Yeah, or like I said, or idol culture, or just whatever bullshit. Whatever's ruffling the ass hairs of somebody at the time.
Yeah.
That brings me to another thing, and again, you guys might not disagree with this, or you guys might disagree with this rather, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway because it's annoying. You'll occasionally get this thing where somebody will pop out and say, show ABC is like problematic or sexist or something. And then you'll have people trying to defend it and argue about it, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen this like 1,000 times on social media somewhere.
Oh, certainly.
But here's my question. Even if it is, so?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is mean and spirited or sexist. So don't watch it.
That's my thing. Arguing all of that is on a subculture level, it's such a waste of time.
Well,
like how much?
Here's the thing. But let's be real here. The only reason you would ever get that knee deep in an argument about this title is sexist is if you want to ban it.
Yeah.
Because
if you want to in some way make access to it more difficult.
Yes, exactly. In which case, you can go fuck yourself. I'll just be blunt. You don't get to pick what other people get to enjoy like that.
This is the issue, and like I remember watching a different YouTube video from a while ago. This was talking about the thing that went on with Love Lab, that whole thing that went on for 3 seconds where they were accusing it of blackface,
or whatever it was.
And the person was talking about, well, yeah, this is a necessary conversation to have, and I'm like, no, it's not.
To who?
It is categorically not. It's not necessary. It's not interesting. It doesn't bring us forward. It actually holds us back, because then we can't actually have conversations about the things Love Lab does do that are interesting, that are important, until we successfully resolve this whole thing about it being racist or blackface or whatever, coming from people who don't understand the first thing about what it was trying to do in that scene and have no intention of actually understanding what it was trying to do. So they're fundamentally wasting everyone's time doing that argument. And then we're wasting our own time giving it anything but treating the argument with enough respect to respond to it in a way to try
Because you're
and
assuming,
debunk
because
it.
if you do that, you're assuming they're arguing in good faith, and they're
Exactly. They're not. It's
They-
like it's
they-
exact like how much time did we waste on the discourse surrounding Kaon talking about whether it was voyeuristic or not, until we can get to the point where we can talk about
Well,
the directorial technique and
Which
all
someone
this
actually
stuff.
said. Which someone
Well,
actually
yeah.
said in
Well,
many
well,
years
of course he did that. Why do you think he actually brought that as an
Yeah,
example?
because it was
didn't
it
pull
was
it
an
out of his ass.
it's an actual thing that we had to waste time on as a subculture before we could get to actual interesting conversations that move our understanding of the medium forward.
And speaking of that,
So
something I
these
saw
are not
today-
necessary conversations to have. This I'm tired of isekai thing about how
Cool,
as some
write it in your live journal.
it's not an interesting or an important conversation. I'm sorry.
It's not.
It's one person whining because they came into anime on a paradigm that would guarantee that they would be massively dissatisfied with 90% of anime. And why is the subculture supposed to give a proper answer to that? Like, why do we need to answer that? You did that to yourself by deciding
Because
that
they're
you would be-
narcissistic douchebags, and they want to fucking pretend the entire world needs to answer them.
Well, you did that to yourself by coming in looking for something very specific out of this broad medium, looking for something very specific and condemning everything that isn't that.
These are
I
the
feel
same
like it was-
assholes.
Yeah.
These are the same assholes who go to comedy clubs to purposely get mad at jokes.
Some Burgermeister says, is there any of the Keanu's voyeuristic stuff archive? No, because unfortunately this was from a message board that doesn't have the message board part up anymore.
that
But
one
this
hundred-
was from
I
That
100
doesn't mean it's gone, my friend.
Well, I 100% guarantee you could find some of that on Anime News Network.
Well, not only that, but if you know the URL, I could probably get it back.
Toybox DX.
Okay, the forum URL though.
Mm.
Anyway, moving along, like something I saw today kind of ties into a lot of this. It was a article, which, by the way, okay, I got two bitches about it. The first one is that it was on Funimation. Funimation blog by a, quote, special contributor.
Pro
And,
tip
you know,
for
not
ev-
even-
pro tip
not
for
even a
everyone.
name, not even a name, but a special contributor.
Yeah, so pro tip for everyone, if you're looking at like one of these blogs or one of these like media sections of this kind of website like Funimation and whatnot, if there's no byline, tread carefully.
Now, I'm not gonna read any of this shit because it's dumb. Just being blunt here, but there is one thing that jumped out at me in a way, because you see this a lot in various types of forums or just general opinion pieces like this. Is not necessarily the thing they used as an example, but that form of setup. In this case, it was basically like, is a full body pan necessary? Really necessary? And my question is your article necessary?
How long have you been watching anime?
No, but seriously, is this thing in this show that I presumably either like or am reviewing or whatever necessary? It's like, no, but is your review necessary?
Well, it's like
Probably not.
Is the full body pan necessary? Well, when you make the anime, you get to determine that.
As far as I'm concerned, High School of the Dead full body pan and crotch shots are necessary.
Like, this is my issue, and this has been my issue for a long time, is I don't think, like, and
Is it a smarticle? Yes, it is.
it's definitely a smarticle. I like a lot of this critical stuff, like,
And why the fuck is this on Funimation's site?
because Funimation endorses it.
Again, it was rhetorical. I know that, and they're also partnered and have a lot of friends in anime.
Yeah.
It really sounds like something that was probably originally written for them,
So,
and maybe it wasn't. It was just reappropriated. Who knows?
like, I'm mostly tired of like the critic subsection of the community believing that they have value like inherently.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe this is me being too much of a business guy being concerned with value, but I don't think they provide value.
These guys in business, don't mix.
Does Funimation still license ecchi shit? Unfortunately, they do.
They do
Yeah, they
because
do.
because they
Because at the end of the day, they can pretend all they want, but it still sells.
yeah, they're trying to get as much of the market share as they can, a lot as much as any company is. But the
Now,
issue is that on an organizational level, they have an active contempt for the kinds of people who habitually watch and buy ecchi anime.
and they do.
And prove me wrong on that.
Because you can actually look at people that work on this stuff basically saying so in private. Whether that be, well, not even private in some cases. Some of them have actually been dumb enough to actually say it aloud on their social media. But, like, there's actual things from meetings and everything else where they're basically just talking shit about them. So, again, that doesn't surprise anybody who's been paying attention. Because, I mean, all you have to do is look at some of these minor, and I do ultimately still think they're minor, but shit storms that have popped up. Mostly doing with localization or them trying to add quirky little bits of modern happenings, I guess. You know what I mean? Like when they tried to like make a COVID reference where, you know, stand 6 feet apart or whatever.
Right.
Stupid shit like that, where there was that scene in Hajime no Gal's dub. Yeah. That's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about. It's completely added there either. And here's the weird thing about that. All right. The kind of people that that's going to appeal to are not the kind of people that actually like those kind of shows. So it really is sort of we're doing it to spite the people who are watching it.
Yeah.
Because think about it, the people who agree with these dumb things don't like these kind of shows to begin with, and they're definitely not going to spend money on them.
Well, so here's where I come down on it. Number one is they don't, like, it doesn't cost anything extra to not put like the Gamergate line in prison school, to not put the
You know what it reminds me of?
what they changed for the Hajime no Gal dub. And in addition to that, there's the number of people who doing that satisfies, who wouldn't be just as satisfied with a normal dub, is zero. So so I'm going to be hard pressed to believe that they don't have that it's anything but an active disdain for the people who habitually consume this kind of anime.
Or sort of an elbow nudge to their buddies in HR or whatever.
What? Either way, it's going to look like they have an active. If they don't want to look like they have an active vendetta against people who like edgy anime, they would stop doing it.
Yeah. Or at least wouldn't like go off the handle when people pointed out that it's really non-professional to do that.
Well, they would receive the dubbed episode, hear the fucking script and say, "Wow, that was bad. Go back and do it the fuck again and do it right this time."
Right. Or if you continue to do that shit, you'll no longer have a job here.
You're not going to work here anymore. But
take that shit somewhere else.
Because it really makes no difference from a business standpoint whether or not they do that. They go ahead and let that happen. And as a result, I'm to believe that they actually just don't like the kinds of people who make this, who like ecchi anime, who like that kind of anime.
I mean, we can get into like
prove me
the
wrong on
license.
that.
We can get into the licensing thing where they get some of these shows and package deals.
I don't think that
Which-
happens anymore.
Not really recently, but I don't know when the cutoff for that was.
I think that would have happened that would have stopped happening around the late 2000s when that entire like
Probably when the economy crashed.
when like 2007, 2008, 2009 when ADV was
Started
gone, CPM
going
was
under.
gone.
The
Because
place
and
was going
part
under,
of
the economy's turned into crap.
part of the reason that the Western anime market had such an implosion back then was because of these package deals.
Because what would happen is they would basically package them like so and so. Okay, you want titles, this title and this title, but to get them, you also have to get these 10 other things you don't care about,
Right, exactly.
and some of which have no marketability here whatsoever. And they don't even really try to market them very much either, because they really just got them for the purpose of getting the other two.
Yep.
And when they were sort of doing the math, they were just thinking of, okay, we need to be able to offset the cost of these others that get put in the deal with these two and how much money they'll make.
Right.
Again, not trying to get like confusing for people. Hopefully you were able to follow that.
Yeah, and it doesn't always happen that way.
You know what it is? Like, I'm sure everybody's done this before. You go through a drive-through, right? And you get, I don't know, just, it doesn't matter where, just a burger from somewhere. Some vegans now hissing at me, but whatever.
Mhm.
But you go through a place with a burger, and this happens to me sometimes. They'll put something on there you didn't want, like, I don't know, cheese or whatever. That's putting an extra you didn't want. In this case, it would be adding lines of dialogue. But the thing is, like, most of the time, depending on where you go, this is an add-on that doesn't cost you anything. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's some places where cheese or that kind of additive, they actually charge you for it.
Right.
But in both cases, you didn't want that, and you didn't even pay for it. So it really is an addition you didn't ask for and you didn't pay for, and really was just sort of, although to be fair, with fast food, it's usually an accident or somebody just doesn't give a shit or not paying attention.
Right.
Whereas in this case, it feels more active.
Yeah.
But the idea is the same, that I didn't want this thing and I didn't ask for this thing, and yet you put it on there.
And there's no one who's gonna go through the drive-through, ask for a normal burger, and secretly be disappointed that they didn't get cheese on the burger that they didn't ask for cheese on.
You asked for no cheese and you're secretly disappointed they didn't do that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of strange, really.
But yeah, so going back to this one article on the Funimation site.
By the way, I'll go ahead and post it in the thing if you want, but
Yeah, go for it.
it is archived, so you don't have to worry about clickbait, which really is probably what it is.
But
but
it's looking at anime in a way that, I mean, if you want to look at anime in that way, sure. But again, if you end up being disappointed by the culture,
Don't you know anime is made by pieces and parts, like a car?
oh, of course. But it's like, but if you look at anime in a way that where you end up being disappointed by 90% of anime's cultural output, I don't know what to tell you. That
Get
was
into
your
something
decision.
else.
Like fine if you want to do that, but then don't also complain that most of anime doesn't live up to that.
It's like the people that are still crying for bubble era kind of passion projects. It's like, that was a time and a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You're never getting that back.
But it's like this isn't even a time and a
Creator-driven
place. It's like this is just not what anime was ever. Like anime as a whole was never. It was never a thing that caters to or tries to satisfy a particular ideology or a particular type of identity. It's always
No.
been there's a little of something for everyone. There are trends, sure, but there's always like something for you to watch.
Isekai's a brand new thing. It's
Yeah.
only been a couple years
No, it's
old.
not.
Yeah, that's my issue though. They come in here and
I mean,
they're
there's
looking for something
big 90s
particular.
shows that was basically technically the same thing.
But
Dunbine is an isekai.
you roll in and you're looking
Think
for
about it.
something very specific, and of course you're not gonna find it.
Well, that's because the sort of you know what I partly blame Western marketing of anime too, because it like we were just talking about like those trailers, right?
Yeah,
Especially-
I mean, this was real bad in the UK.
But yeah, like how did they advertise anime? You know, it's like look
By playing Celtic Frost riffs over violent OVAs.
right.
I mean, sure, but a lot of the people who are on this paradigm are younger than me.
For sure.
Like they didn't like I was at the tail end of that style of marketing with anime. Like when I got into anime, it was Toonami, and they were more marketing anime as different rather than extreme. Whereas now, I kind of barely even know how people are getting into anime, and I think that's a little bit of a problem because if the entry point is just anywhere, there's no way to help curate people's experience such that they do actually find the anime that they want, rather than going around looking for isekai anime made by women and made for women and watching for isekai anime and getting disappointed and then making a 39-minute video about how disappointed you are that you watched 4 isekai anime and didn't find anything.
There's a lot of this that really does just really come across as major I'm a brat.
Yeah.
I mean,
First world problems.
well, not even that. I mean, yeah, obviously, but more like people that have never been told no through their life. People that think all media should be inclusive to everybody for everybody for some reason. I don't know how that works, because if it's for everybody, it's for nobody. Because nothing works like that. Nothing has ever worked like that.
Well, I mean that's largely a marketing concept, and don't ask any of these people about marketing because they probably think marketing
Is
writ large is bad.
Oh, they do. Which is hilarious, because then you got people like that scream about capitalism and markets and whatnot, like, I don't know, like Mother's Basement, and as they're palling around with fucking Crunchyroll and these people that are super fucking, corporate as corporate gets.
Yeah, nah, I got you.
I mean, it's very, very. It's not even funny to me anymore. I mean, there is a hint of humor there, but it's just stupidity.
It's weird.
And it's weird too, for sure.
It's like I genuinely don't
And I'm not fucking kidding. That anime will survive the death of capitalism.
Yeah, that I fundamentally don't understand.
Press X.
You try that. Yeah, you just try that.
Like,
Mother's Basement.
why would you approach anime, submedium of animation from Japan, anime, as from specifically from a socialist standpoint?
Even the thing,
And
the
answer to that question is because that's the replacement for this person's personality.
Pitch it to?
Well, no, this is that person's personality. This is
They're
your
also
personality.
trying to get more of their kind on board.
When you get into anime from an identity paradigm, because that's your entire personality. Your entire personality is,
Can we point out that that's actually not a personality?
it's not a replacement for a personality.
No,
But
no, it's not.
But okay, I was gonna say. So you brought about the OVA market that was very like sort of artists doing what they wanted, but even then that was still something based on a market, capitalism, because what
yeah,
drove
but let's be real here. How many of these people that say this actually understand how markets work?
they don't.
I know. I'm
It's
just saying,
it's
like that.
it's like a
Okay.
meme. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm against capitalism now because it's something popular. They don't actually understand it. They don't actually understand like exactly how this stuff comes to be.
Or
They
they think
just
it's bad.
they they just look at it and say, "Oh, hey, yeah, capitalism. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad because I've been told it's bad."
And the reason, and the
And because I
reason,
like anime
which
would
is
definitely
which is a
survive the end of
blatant,
capitalism.
which is a blatantly commercial product. I know some people don't want to hear that. They think it's some sort of fucking a Picasso blue period piece or something.
Well, so here's where we here's where we get into like the second topic, which is like
Which fits into sort of the whole thing about why these people are in here.
like here's the issue is like
Or at
when
least
you are
why they're allowed.
when you are approaching anime from this sort of identity or like political paradigm, and then you find it, that becomes like everything else becomes terrible.
that
Like
sense.
here, you can't enjoy anime if you're approaching it from an identity paradigm or a political paradigm, because
No,
you're
because you're
90% of
approaching
anime is useless to you if you do that.
because you're approaching it in a way the creators didn't intend. You're just not. In
Well-
90 plus percent of all cases, that will not be true.
Well, it's that, and it precludes you from having fun with it, and that's kind of the
Which is another
point.
weird thing. Having fun is considered to be bad. It's very strange. It's like, what the fuck happened to some of you people?
Well, so here's where we get into it. Having fun is considered to be
Zoomers.
bad, and if you do find
No,
yourself,
that started before them.
if you do find yourself having fun, you have to denigrate yourself for that.
Yes. That which is the next thing. There's
That's the hipster thing. Yeah.
which I fucking hate. I'll just be real with you. If hipsters all got fired into the sun, well, one, the sun would probably explode to get rid of them. But that's besides the point.
Well, so there's this other mentality that's going on. This
And this isn't new. It's not.
no, it's far from new. It's the
Although social media makes it worse.
it's the this is trash and so am I mentality. This kind of
Like
self.
The thing is, it's not even self-deprecating, because self-deprecating is usually lighthearted when it comes to this sort of thing. It's troll shielding on some level.
Well, it's a defense
I like
mechanism.
that.
Here's
okay.
here's the bottom line. There would be none of this mentality. Zero. It would not exist if there weren't groups of people calling other groups of people trash for liking the wrong anime and meaning it.
Yeah, like, and the thing is when called to the mat over this stuff, they do the "it's just a joke, bruh," and things like that, which it's not.
It's so
It's transparent. It's very transparent.
and it's
If you're spending
annoying.
half of your day on the internet screaming at Moe fans or something, there's more wrong with you than them. Trust me. Go outside.
So you like, and I get it. I get most the reason I get why people say it, because it's a phrase that's parodied by popular anti-tubers.
Yeah, even before then, places did it.
Certainly, but it's really taken off in recent years because there are some very popular anti-tubers who have
have a
this mentality
very
and perpetuate
question.
this mentality.
Do you think it's particularly damaging when big anti-tubers like Giga spread this ideology?
Absolutely. 100%.
Very. And here's why. Now you guys might have a different opinion here, but I mentioned this earlier, but I'm gonna bring it up again for people that are listening to this. Here's what I mean. It contributes to the background radiation, one of your favorite phrases.
Yep.
Because it ultimately shrugs their shoulders when people are legitimately being attacked and fucked with. You are basically just going, hey, leave me alone. Don't come after me for that. While other
Troll
people...
shitting again.
yeah, it's exactly what it is on some level, because you are somewhat implicit in that behavior by engaging in the thing that what they're getting bullied over is bad. I mean, you know what I mean? The actual content.
Well, so the issue is like the argument is, well, I don't want to always have to explain why I like XYZ, which is fair, but then say that.
And that's also not true. That's noble, but false. Okay? Because if that were true, why is it only these type of things that you have a problem explaining? Why do you not have a problem having to defend ultra violence or whatever? Why is only this stuff the stuff you don't want to explain to people?
Because unfortunately, liking ultra violence is more acceptable.
Well,
that's exactly it.
It doesn't have to be that though. It could be anything else.
Shonen stuff.
Like
everything.
Like long drawn out shonen titles. Okay, you don't want to explain why there's so much filler or whatnot. Nobody has a problem explaining that. That's why I don't buy it. It's like, oh no, this stuff will get me in trouble with quote unquote my peers or people that are not very pleasant types. We'll just say that. And I don't know. I see it as nothing but cowardice. It's like if you don't want to go, if you don't want to basically defend the stuff that you claim to like, just fucking stop talking.
It's a lack of a spine, and this is something I like as far as AniTube goes.
Circle of people to talk about the stuff that's what I say.
As far as AniTube goes, there's a pattern I've noticed. Well, less of a pattern, more of a progression. Because some years ago, the Anime Man had made a video called "Is Ecchi Killing Anime?" And it was a whole thing about how, oh well, it makes anime look less respectable and whatnot. But now he's like the openly into ecchi guy, and I'm wondering how that transition coincided.
How that shift occurred.
Well, how that transition conveniently coincided with it becoming okay to be into ecchi anime as a meme sort of thing.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I'm glad you pointed it out. There does seem to be this sort of, because even Moe, as much as it got fucking trashed on, there are a lot more people who like it now.
Yes,
from what I can see, or at least that are open about it anyway.
That's true, but it's also one of those things that it's more acceptable to like as a meme.
I don't disagree, but the point is though, you can notice this shift because it's one of those things where there were legitimately people that would stalk and harass people at cons and stuff for liking the wrong stuff. It was ridiculous. And I don't know if that's still happening. It may still very well be. I haven't seen it lately, but somehow that became not cool anymore to do that. And it's interesting because I mean, it almost makes you wonder if some people had a "Are we the baddies" moment.
And I think so. I think they're
always the baddies.
Like, I think there was sort of a
Love
kind
it.
of a changing of
Some
the
people-
guard
Even
insofar
Yeah,
as who's determining a lot of the social paradigms in the subculture, which is not to say like that, like the people who are doing that, the people who are determining that stuff now are still subject to the background radiation that was put in place by the people before them, which is why it's most acceptable to like ecchi and like moe as a meme sort of thing rather than as a more genuine passionate sort of thing. It's still
and one of the,
weird to be into an anime girl like that unless you're making a joke out of it. And that kind of gets to on some level that is also troll shielding.
for sure. And let's be real here. There's and this, I don't want to say it's new, but I am seeing it more now. So it could have just been something that because of the circles I hung with, I didn't see it. So if you guys want to correct me on that, that's totally fine. But one thing that I have noticed over time is that if you're really into something and you're sincere about it, you're kind of denigrated in sort of a you like this thing too much. Or
Right.
or you take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
This from people who basically only watch anime for gay shit.
You know what?
I mean-
This reminds me of something. Can I got something I got to get off, and this is going to make me very unpopular, but I told you this, but I have to say it. I don't know if all JoJo Bizarre fans are like this. I know, but I know
Insufferable
certain,
twats.
but I know a certain group of people are this way, have this opinion, and but maybe extends further that JoJo's. Now we know how flamboyant JoJo's is.
Of course.
All right, we know it doesn't hide that fact, but
No.
some people, if you say JoJo's is gay,
They will have an
and
aneurysm.
again, nothing wrong with absolutely nothing wrong with that, and nothing. But if you say that to them, it's like, no, it's not gay. It's meant to be like a
it's
tiny
like
Renaissance thing.
yeah, exactly. It's like sucking dick is the most manly thing ever. It's not gay. Oh wait. No, that just sounds like the kind of stuff they're doing.
It's like, if you like the thing, that's fine.
Stop
But
stop
don't, yeah.
acting dumb about it.
You don't need to
Yeah.
be gay to like something that is flamboyant in a way commonly associated with gay people.
Be real here, it's mostly from what I can tell, two people that aren't huge into anime in general, only certain stuff,
Yeah.
and also anime right types,
Yes.
which are this really ridiculous sort of amalgamation of miscreants that are reacting to the anime people.
And in a way, just as insufferable.
Well,
As-
it's just silly. I mean, like you'll literally see people trying to defend like all kinds of fucked up things in anime, and then cry about degeneracy. You know what I mean? It's really stupid.
No, I got you.
You know, it's like, oh, you know, they have like a bunch of Nazi iconography all over their accounts and scream about you know, minorities and Jews and stuff, but they're also into Futanari. Somehow they think that's fine and doesn't really. It is completely cogent with the rest of it somehow.
So this from the
I
IRC,
don't get
and
it.
this from the IRC, and this is a good point. The other thing is that people don't want to get death threats and be called a pedophile. You can call it troll shielding, but some people have been driven to suicide by antis. And the issue is that we're not. The issue is that instead of having a conversation about that, it's the thing that we're doing as a subculture is trying to downplay stuff that's otherwise perfectly acceptable as on a, like there's nothing wrong with liking ecchi, there's nothing wrong with liking moe, but because we know that that's going to happen to some people, what we do instead is try and downplay that element of the subculture rather than having a conversation about these people who are coming from external parts of the subculture, trying basically literally trying to get people killed for liking the wrong cartoons.
Well, and
Like
here's the other thing about that.
It kind of sounds weird that isn't what we're having a conversation about when people are trying to get other people like ended over liking a cartoon, because that sounds like something that would be important to talk about if that's happening, but it's for some reason it seemed for some reason it's difficult to have that conversation when the subject is someone liked a sexual cartoon too much, and so a bunch of people decided that they're going to make this person into a target. And part of the reason for that is because we've had this mentality in the subculture for so long that entire family of anime is it's less than it's degenerate, for lack of a better term. So we've had that background radiation for so long, and we're just now starting to climb out of it. And part of that climb out is now the acceptable way is for it to be a giant meme. Similarly to how I mentioned before, we wasted so much time talking about how K-On! Was voyeuristic before we could actually have genuine conversations about Naoki Yamada's directorial technique. We wasted so much time vilifying ecchi anime and vilifying moe that now we have to go through all the stages before in 20 years or so actually genuinely liking ecchi and moe might become acceptable. But we have to deal with it being a meme right now because we've just gotten to the paradigm where there are major influencers in the anime subculture who actually do like this stuff, but not even they can be 100% genuine about it all the time, because like and I've asked this before. I'm gonna regularly ask this question just to gauge where we're at as a subculture. Name for me a major anime reviewer who actively likes ecchi and can talk about exactly why they like it. Go.
Yeah. Well, for one, I don't pay attention
Tumbleweed.
to those people.
Tumbleweed.
And like you can name influencers who do like ecchi, but I'm not certain they can articulate, at least not publicly, I'm not certain they can articulate exactly why they like it, because it's not an acceptable thing to
Look,
talk about. Like nobody with a platform deeply talks about like exactly what appeals to them in an ecchi anime, exactly what appeals to them in the moe anime.
That's because it's exactly what I said earlier. They will be accused of taking themselves too seriously.
Yeah, and from the RSC, they pointed out the artist formerly known as Digibro, and look what happened to Digibro. They tried to get Digibro the fuck up out of here because.
Well, look. It's real simple though. The people that are going to throw out death threats and this sort of shit, they just want a reason. Okay, you can say that they're doing this because you like the wrong stuff, and in some cases that's true. But in reality, those kind of people are going to find any reason to go after people. I mean, we have entire communities out there on the internet that basically do this as sort of like some sort of pet project.
I'll be right back. 1 sec.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There are literally organized forums and groups and secret meetup places on Discords and wherever where
Right.
they basically just hang around and pat each other on the back for stalking people.
Right. So like, why do we need to live in fear of those people? And why do we need to like weave in and out of their paradigms in order to like the stuff that we enjoy? And part of it, and honestly, part of it, and I've said this for a while, part of it is because a lot of this is on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
said it
the
before
thing
and I've
is
said it
that
again. There is
it's
no
not-
reason why the anime subculture needs to repeatedly be in the same space as people who categorically harass anime fans. No reason. Other
thing is,
than
it's
it's just convenient and it's there. But there, like, it's abundantly possible for to not have that be the space for anime fans, but we have what we have now, and I I'd like to say we're not stuck with it, but for the most part we're stuck with it. There are some other places, but what that depends on is people actually making a move to those other places, and it's not going to be like it's not the solution isn't going to be, okay, we're going to go to the anime, we're going to create an anime subculture on minds.com, because
no, you'll be chased off of there too.
well,
By the way,
well, yeah, we tried that, and then very mysteriously, it there was this big announcement on Minds saying, "Oh, we're suddenly banning Lolicon." It's like, correlation, maybe not causation, but definitely correlation. So it's gonna, and my issue isn't specifically banning Lolicon, but my issue is that there are places where
that claim to be welcoming to free speech that ultimately are really not.
they're going to discriminate against the anime subculture because it's so far and away different from what tends to usually grow around
Because most
online
places
culture.
Okay.
Because most alternative tech, or whatever you want to call it, is really founded and operated by people who don't like the current models of things and or the people that are running them.
Yeah, a lot of it is, were you kicked off of Twitter for being too
Yeah, because you were mad you weren't allowed to drop slurs and get in trouble.
yeah, exactly. Then come here to our free speech platform.
where you can do that all day long, but pornography is banned.
Yeah, exactly. So
Because we think that's degenerate and we don't like that.
so that's the issue is the
Which yeah, so I'm just going to be blunt here. Anything that markets itself as a free speech forum or a free speech app or anything is probably not necessarily lying to you, but they're misleading you.
yeah.
Because what they really mean is you can go here and rant about the things they'll kick you off of Twitter for. That doesn't mean you can post anything you want.
It's like it, and one of our friends actually said this a while back. The only like culture that could actually run a full-on free speech platform is the anime subculture, because you would need to be able to tolerate the most extreme things.
Right,
And
like
quite honestly,
on some level that would be true.
if the anime subculture starts a platform, or to put it more accurately, if I were to start a platform for the anime subculture, it would not be a free speech platform. Why not? Because people from the outside would fucking roll on in
And cause
and
problems.
start
Guaranteed.
they would start trying to drive the anime culture off of the platform.
Not only that, but they would also try to usurp it, and by that, I don't mean necessarily drive them off, but also by testing your boundaries of why you say you're a free speech platform.
Exactly.
Guarantee that would happen. That would be people that would come off of poll, or wherever, just places that are sort of pushed to the fringes of the internet, I guess. you'd have your B-tards and everything else showing up. Which again, why I would never portray myself that way. And another reason you don't want to do it that way is because you will ultimately still probably end up having to deal with things like advertisers and all kinds of other shit.
Well, that would really then depend on how the platform is supported.
I mean, because even places like Faku have problems with advertisers. Like, there are people. There's a reason there's not a lowly tag that you can see right off the bat.
Right, that you can see right off the bat. There is a lowly tag, by the way.
There is, but you have to log in and basically sign a thing that says, "Hey, you can show that crap."
Yeah.
And that's the only reason they're allowed to do it. It's the only reason. I guarantee that their sponsors do not want to be associated with it.
And I mean, good on them for doing it. That's really
Right,
really the way to do it. Like, opt in. Like, hey,
yeah.
if you want to see
I'm
this
not- I'm not
content,
I'm not knocking them for doing it. In fact, it's the smart thing to do.
yeah,
Really. Because that way the advertisers are happy, which even saying that makes my stomach turn a bit.
I'm well, I have ad block on, but I'm not even certain they really have advertisers, or like
I think
don't.
I think they have sponsors or investors that from somewhere.
I'm not certain they have investors. I don't know, but I don't necessarily know. I don't necessarily know that they would need them.
I know I have heard that that's the reason they hide the tag, and a couple other tags too. Is that they make certain people unhappy, and by certain people, I don't mean visitors or participants. I mean outside people.
Right.
Who those people are, I don't know. I'm not a member. I'm not a member of their business circle, which I assume can be pretty complex on some level.
Well, they probably have other businesses that they work with that might not work with them if that kind of stuff is.
If you want me to be real with you, it's probably like MasterCard or something. Like there's probably payment processors that are like, we're not going to allow you to operate if those things are available like that.
True. That's a good point.
I mean, hell, that's what fucking nearly killed Pornhub. Is that as a bunch of places were going to pull out because there were, what do you call it, user uploaded videos of a questionably legal nature in some cases, or in some of them which were just flat out not.
Yes.
And rather than just take said videos down, they purged anything really put out there by user uploads, I believe.
Yeah, they purged everything that wasn't uploaded by
a blue
verified
check, basically.
Yeah, well, yeah, anything that's not a verified user.
Yes, that are just like, which that really was throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Pretty much ruined the site, to me.
Well, that's.
I mean, I understand why they did it.
But it's not entirely accurate that that's what they did. What they did was they basically hid everything that isn't by a verified user, and they're supposedly going through it and trying to find what's okay and what isn't. But that's like several million videos that they have to go through.
Right, and when they bring it back and more user uploads are done, won't they just have to constantly do that?
I don't think they're going to do user uploads anymore.
Okay, so it's one of those things where basically, like, the ones that are there, they're just going to do sort of a search and seizure, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting that we can talk about Pornhub in such a blunt and kind of business-oriented way, but there's a lot of weird things about that.
Yeah, but so to link this back to the anime is trash and so am I thing, you can't express, as an anime fan, it's difficult to express yourself fully in mixed space. And I think that's a big problem.
problem.
It's like
It's-
I wrote an article for Yashike back in, I think, the tail end of August about how like fandom culture, like quote unquote fandom, almost always when it does choose to involve anime, which isn't all the time, but when it does choose to involve anime, it tends to systematically crowd anime out, or only really acknowledge the most surface level elements of the anime subculture, because it's just so different. It's just so different from everything else. I was on Asobi FM earlier today with Shinden9 and Chuck Gaffney,
Mhm.
and Chuck was talking about how the difference between New York Anime Fest and New York Comic Con back when those two were separate entities.
Convergence theory.
And the difference was like night and day, where New York Anime Fest was like it's an anime convention. It's fucking wild. There's people going around there, and everyone is super excited to see everything. Whereas in New York Comic Con, it's more people going from booth to booth, just looking for what they're looking for, and not even necessarily acknowledging like the fact that they're at a convention for the stuff they love.
So I mean,
Go for it.
yeah. I mean, again, we talked about this. It actually got brought up a couple of years ago when you mentioned convergence theory, which is that,
Convergence Eve.
not divergence, convergence.
I know that.
Yeah, convergence Eve, where nobody has breasts. Anyway,
But yeah, it's like, so like the local like Omnicon multi-genre convention in my state
WitchCon.
has
which it's interesting you say that, because last year I went to, I'm sure you remember this, I went to Level Up Con.
Yep.
Which is more of a video game con.
Yep.
Went there with some friends and so forth. And I went for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to go to a con because I knew everything was going to get shut down. I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get in on it before it did, which, cool. And also, it really was a spectacle, because not only was that going on, but now this was not the reason I went, but it was interesting. I'll say that. The same building where the con was being held was also being used for a rally, specifically a Trump rally. So that was a clash of civilizations on some level, because you had people that were going there really just to do video game stuff, buy nerd shit, and hang out and so forth. But you also had local political people from that chapter, I guess, for the lack of a better word, there, and the president and everything else. So security was nuts. You had people running around in American flags next to people dressed up in furry costumes and so forth. You can see where this gets kind of strange. But that's kind of it. They did have anime related stuff. Obviously, it wasn't the main thing.
Sure.
In fact, it was actually relegated to a couple of small areas, really. A couple like art book places, and a couple like doujin areas, and just like pockets of things like that, littered around. And of course, you had like artist alleys and things like that. But it is very general, though, nerdy. You know what I mean? It's not.
A similar thing goes on with Kineticon, where it's like there's definitely anime stuff in the dealer room and whatnot, but I've noticed over the years that there's been less and less anime programming insofar as panels, for example.
Mm. Right. And I mean, yeah, that's the thing. and I'm sure we'll probably see more of this, if nothing else, because people get sick of this whole convergence thing. But there's probably going to be more places that pop up that do the Anime Boston thing.
Yeah.
I have a feeling sort of regional things, probably in bigger places like, I don't know, Chicago or Houston or somewhere. Because they're actually sick of that. And they like, it's not really fair because all of you people with your Doctor Who obsession and stuff have your own cons, and you try to crowd us out of our own. And I think people are going to get sick of that.
I hope so, because like I
I
said,
mean, I know I do.
it's difficult to fully express yourself as an anime fan in mixed company, because
Right.
you always have that thing, that awareness in the back of your mind, is like, is this person going to judge me? Is this person going to try and
Is this person really okay that I'm even fucking here?
right?
Kind of thing, you know? And again, that's not to make it sound like you're having some sort of weird monologue with yourself, but I know what you mean. And the less and less anime appears in these places, the more and more you feel kind of like,
Do I
mean,
really even belong here?
right? And that, I mean, that's not really true with me because I like a lot of other nerdy shit. I mean, I do enjoy various things, video games and sci-fi and all this other crap.
Yeah,
So,
so
I mean,
do I. But
but I know what you mean.
like, the way I interact with things is like the way like an otaku interacts with things, and that goes
Right.
for that goes for anime, that goes
For
for
anything, like I
video
will geek
games.
out at like replicas of like I don't know, the Millennium Falcon or something.
Yeah,
Like or like, oh fuck, a Death Star, gimme.
yeah, exactly. Like,
And
I'm like that with fighter jets.
I was saying, yeah.
Or just like, oh hey, you know, this is an actual piece of J.R.R. Tolkien's fucking desk he wrote on or something.
Yeah, like
Or whatever.
like it's, on some level it's not even the anime thing. On some level it's, you get concerned that people are going to react badly, not just to the fact that you're into anime, but to how you interact with things, because you
There's almost like this
interact
weird
with those things
sectarian
like a
warfare
hardcore
thing
anime
that goes
fan
on.
interacts with those things.
There's almost like this weird sectarian warfare thing that happens. But it's not physical; it's all mental. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's all mental and it's all social. It's not like people are slugging each other in the vendor hall.
No, it's all social. It's all a subtle social push this way or that way.
And again, I think part of it actually is because people try to make these hobbies and stuff a replacement for a personality.
It's that, and also, in this ties back to the topic, is because anime fans almost categorically don't stand up for themselves.
Right. And there are numerous reasons for that. I mean, there's just I mean, you can kind of look at it as in it's always been that way, or just like there's a certain ineptitude with some people. I know that's not very nice to say.
Well, it's
Actually got a question. But
Go
you
for
can
it.
Oh, so what's the difference between, you said, not having a personality, someone not having a personality, like you said,
They're
versus
Okay.
when you say, someone complaining about you take this stuff too seriously?
Well, I honestly don't fully understand what you're actually asking.
Because wouldn't someone be that accused of not having a personality, a true personality, would also be accused of taking something too seriously?
I don't know. I think people who don't have a personality are more likely to say that.
True, but I'm just trying to see.
Because
Yes.
I mean, because let's be real here. Like, if you look at people that are in high positions of I don't want to say this word, but I'm going to for lack of a better one, authority in the quote unquote anime subculture, whether that be
The
like
opinion leaders.
like
Opinion leader.
ANN or Anime World Order or whoever. When they say that you like something too much, I mean it's really funny when another podcast says that. By the way, another anime podcast says that you like this thing too much. We just do an anime podcast. Yeah, okay. But I mean, what does that even fucking mean? You like this thing too much. Like, what's the threshold where something is acceptable to like? Like, I mean, does it depend on thing to thing? Is it something you like have a clear cutoff point?
Well, so here's what it really is
You like this thing more than I want you to.
it's not even that. It's you are too public about
The way you behave.
the way you interact with this thing, and it's off-putting to me. And potentially the reason why it might be off-putting is because the person saying that still has this internalized notion of I can't be the like they're too afraid of being
They're still struggling with their nerd image.
they're still struggling with their nerd image. Yeah. They're too afraid
Basically.
of being a quote unquote cringe weeb. Even though chances are you are not socially inept enough to become an actual cringe weeb. Chances are you're not that much of a social retard.
Yeah, and this is a good point. Look at how people make fun of otaku who do the Naruto run. But how many of those
you mean
people are-
teenagers?
Hmm?
You mean teenagers?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Oh, you mean teenagers? I don't think I've seen many adults doing that. I mean, I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying that I don't see people like my age doing that shit.
Yeah, nobody above the age of like 16 is very seriously doing the Naruto run, other than just to have fun. And if people are trying to make
And
fun
that's
of people
another
for
thing.
having fun,
There's this notion that fun is bad, which we mentioned earlier, and that's in the background too. It's really fucking weird. Like having fun is bad, so why would you even come to a con?
it's such an alien notion to me.
Because there's different kinds of reasons people go to a con. There's to buy stuff, which, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's part of it. Although, believe it or not, it's not the main reason I go. I mean, because let's be real here, I can buy stuff anywhere. I have the internet and a functioning bank account. You know what I mean? Unless you're like Cro-Magnon man or something, that's not really a fucking issue anymore to buy stuff. Now, granted, there is something special about going through an area and seeing stuff you normally don't see.
True.
And picking it up and buying it right there and taking it home with you, or at least back to your hotel room. And there's something different about that. It's kind of like going through to a record shop rather than ordering something on like a distro or whatever. You're thumbing through stuff and you're kind of like surprised, like, oh, this is cool. You don't get that when you buy online. You just don't have that. It's not there. Whatever. But there's other reasons there too. I mean, you can go there for panels. There's those, whether to watch them or even do them, like some people do. I mean, I have friends even besides you, Anubis, that have done plenty of them. I have never done them, not because I don't like being in front of people. It's just I never really had the setup for it. Anyway, besides that though, there's also sort of a social aspect of it. You go with your friends.
I said,
or at least I do.
Yeah, I've said this before. Barring like legitimate catastrophe, like something happened, and that causes you to like have a bad time. If you're not having fun at an anime convention, that's probably your fault.
I don't know too many people that don't have fun there unless they stuck being there alone doing something they don't want to do.
It's hard to do. Well, the last thing I went to was Comic-Con in 2015. And again, it's very hard to do anything that's outside of the dealer booth because all that stuff is giant lines, and you end up being stuck in those that
Right.
You've made the mistake of going to these ultra big cons.
That's not
Yeah,
that's my
I
point.
know.
That's not an anime convention. I'm
Yeah,
talking
and
like
technically not an anime convention. That's true. But
so
also, that's
if
something I've stopped doing.
if
I
you-
don't go to these massive things like Otakon and stuff anymore.
yeah, but if you
Uh,
airdrop
because
someone into the middle of
when you-
anime Boston and they can't have fun, if you airdrop an anime fan into the middle of the anime Boston and they can't have fun, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, for sure. But because like it's like you said, um, shit, lost my point here. Okay, here's a thing, where it says I've seen people say shit like, quote, "You didn't get made fun of for like an anime. You got fun of for wearing the Naruto headband and doing the run." In some cases that might be true, but I've seen enough to where I know that's only a very tiny portion of the story. Unless you want to go on, like, there used to be web pages that actually actively followed, you might even say stalked or creeped on people they thought were socially awkward, just to basically point and laugh at them.
Yeah, and
Which okay, some people are doing stuff in public that they shouldn't be doing. Fair enough, but most of the time it really is just being a dickhead.
well, the issue is that we've never normalized calling
Also,
out the
why
fact
fuck
that
are these people still allowed to be there,
Look-
especially when people know they're doing it.
well, it's fucking weird, and we never talk about how fucking weird it is to go around following around people you think are socially awkward and
Which
like
how smart
documenting
does
them.
how smart does that make you look? I mean, really, like, oh, I'm such a big smart man individual. I'm following around somebody that probably doesn't even know any better.
You're maybe one level removed from Sato in Welcome to the NHK,
In HK,
sitting in the bushes taking photographs of
and then
elementary school girls.
loudly exclaiming what he's doing,
Yeah.
and then realizes he just said that out loud to
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, you're basically that guy, just with socially awkward teenagers.
Oof. But no, I mean, I've never understood that. I mean, it's very. There's a certain level of. Why would you go somewhere like a con to do that? Like, what don't you have better to do?
And so here's the thing though, is that evidently that happens so little at anime conventions that's basically the one social space where anime fans can really express themselves.
I mean, look, it's one of those things where, again, like you said, a lot of anime fans are very I don't know if self-conscious is the right word, but
Self-conscious, I think is a good word for it.
yeah. So they usually are more kind of insular and all that other kind of good stuff, and so you're putting them in a social situation with people that are supposedly like them.
Yeah, people who understand them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fair, but then you got people that seem to have problems with that, like, oh, being insular is bad, or being antisocial is bad, as a trait or whatever. And then they show up.
Go for it.
And then they show up and try to exploit the fact that they're sort of being more themselves at a place like that. I guess would be the right way to look at it. I mean, because a lot of them tend to think, well, I'm in good company, so there's no reason to completely suppress the power level, as they say.
Right.
I mean, come on, you're standing around fucking people dressed up. Come on. I mean, how much of a stick up your ass do you have? If you're going there just to basically sit behind a tree with your arms crossed and scoff at everything.
Well, like, and this is another thing I've said before. the person you have to be wary of at the anime convention is not the guy in the Idolmaster t-shirt with the carrying around some semi-lewd anime figures he bought standing in line for the effed up hentai panel. The person...
Is this me you're describing?
No, because you've never been to
Is
the
this
effed up hentai panel, BZ. But it's the guy who
I'm touched.
who has an active disdain for all of that stuff. Like
does
actively
make you wonder
dislikes all
why
of
they're
that stuff.
there.
Because we know what the Idolmaster dude, ecchi anime figure dude, effed up hentai panel dude is doing at the convention. There's plenty for that person to do at the convention.
What's this motherfucker doing?
What is that other guy doing?
He clearly holds contempt for like 9/10 of the people here and 9/10 of the things that are there.
Yep.
So why are you there? Like, even if you were invited for free, why would you waste your afternoon or day or whatever?
Even if you were invited for free, the hotel room is several $100s. You gotta get there. There all food.
They
all
sound,
these sorts
they
of
sound
other
like
things.
people that would be better off at like a bar or a dance club or something. Which is fine, but I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't like paying money to get into things I like. why the fuck would I pay to go somewhere and just be a rah, fucking everything is bad, no fun allowed.
But yeah,
Yeah, but then you see people at sports stadium basically doing the same bullshit. People running around with fucking basically totem gods on their fucking helmets.
it's so like, and like this is the issue. You look at like the football stadium, and it's an area that it's a space that accepts the kind of people who would paint their whole body
Fucking their colors.
white and blue for the Colts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally what I was thinking. Or take their shirt off and act like a drunk retard.
Exactly. And that's normal there.
Which, again, I don't even have a problem with it.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see that level of passion for...
There's always the possibility they'll fall, which is always funny.
It's funny. But that's the same thing with the anime fandom. The anime convention. It's like, it's the space where people will dress up in these wild ass costumes and go around and just be super excited to see people in costume as something they saw. I saw a person cosplaying as Yuri Otani from Alien 9. Ladies and gentlemen, I have found one of the only 5 people on the planet who saw Alien 9.
Okay, maybe
I
not
know
for
of that one.
Maybe for not of obscurity purposes, but I can beat it in terms of what the hell did I just see?
Oh yeah?
Okay, one of which I saw somebody dressed up as Ava Unit 1, the actual robot.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. I think I have photos of that one actually.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times, mostly at AX. The one I think that was the what in the fuck did I just see was I saw. Hold on, I gotta think of her name now. Rin Kokanoe.
Ooh, champion.
Cosplay at my local con. Now, for those of you who have no idea who that is the main character from Kodomo no G-Con.
But
I remember
Let that sink in for a minute.
that's though exactly what I'm talking about though. That's the magic of like the anime convention. It's like you can go as Rin Kokanoe and it's fine.
And it wasn't even a big con. That's the craziest part of it. Like, you could almost believe it at A-Con or Otakon or ASIN or something like that, where there's like 100,000 people or something like that. But we're talking about a thing that doesn't even crack probably 10,000. Or maybe even 5.
And then you even get this like any space where anime fans congregate. It becomes a microcosm of the convention. It's like we got people in the IRC talking about movie screenings. how they've
Mhm.
seen people cosplaying like
That's how
Rin
I saw
Tosaka at
the
the Fate
Haruhi
Stay
movie.
Night
Was at a con.
at the Fate Stay Night the Heaven's Feel movie, which now I'm looking back, talk remembering the Char's counterattack screening,
I was there. Not with
and
you. I was there.
I'm thinking I have a Neo Zeon cosplay that I put together a while back for
I still have the ball cap. Doesn't have to be Neo Xeon, just the Xeon classic, emblem.
yeah, but I've like I converted my coat
I think
into
they have those now.
They
do.
do. I just have not found one that was in stock that I like.
Yeah, I'd converted my coat into like I think it was a captain rank, either captain or commander,
Oh, nice.
with, with the whole emblem on the chest and whatnot. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thanking, damn, I should have worn that
Sure
to
that.
the
No, you
the
probably
Char's
because you
counterattack.
totally would have got a high five by somebody
Oh, of
for sure.
course. But
Um,
that
trust
any
me, Zeeks are there. I guarantee it.
but any place where anime fans get together socially becomes a tiny anime convention, and the only thing that stops that is when people come from the outside and actively try to ruin it.
Okay, I'll give you another. Speaking of weird things I've seen at cons, I mean, I'll give you another one that I guarantee you probably haven't seen before. And if you want, you can join in. When I was at a panel for Go Nagai, which was a great fucking panel, by the way. It was depressingly unattended. There was like only 6-7 people in it. It made
To
me
be
almost
fair, this was before the Devilman Crybaby boom, so you probably
Yeah.
would have had more.
Well,
after.
yeah,
True.
yeah, true, fair enough. But that was so low, it was weep worthy. Anyway, but there was somebody there who was dressed up as the Mazinger unit,
Oh, so that's cool.
the actual fucking robot. Like, I guarantee you, outside of that room, nobody knew what the fuck that was.
Exactly.
Is
that some
sort of transformer?
That but that's like
Like,
the
even outside of the other places at the con, people probably didn't know what it was.
but that's like how to put this, because this is important. It's important to express that, even if you think like, oh, me and other fight. Like, who the fuck
Those-
has seen Alien 9? But
Those
this person
other
at
people will know,
Kineticon
though.
was so passionate about Alien 9.
You'll bring a smile to the 5 who do know.
Fuck yes! I used to
It's like when you see somebody wearing the Boshi Faces T-shirt.
yeah, but it's
Like everybody around you has no fucking idea in public what that is.
it's like
Not at all.
I'm where I'm at Kineticon. I'm walking around as like the main character from Ace Combat Zero. And to give a little bit of perspective, Ace Combat is a game series where you never see the main character, but the only way you can tell if someone's cosplaying that character is if they're in a fighter pilot getup and they have like the emblem on their helmet and whatnot.
Is Combat the one that had the Idolmaster crossover?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
So I'm walking around and I'm just getting recognized left and right. And every single person is pumped.
Well, yeah,
Because
I
they
mean,
see-
that's
they
one
see
of the
someone
things
go-
I do like about con going. When I'm looking at cosplayers, I like when I see something, A, I haven't seen before, or B, it's something only I seem to know what the fuck it is. Like, because we've all seen plenty of C2s or Tifas or whatnot, and I'm not saying to stop. Definitely not. But I do sort of get that sort of smirk when I see something that clearly only certain people will know what it is.
It's like I remember the like Retro World Expo at 2019. This isn't an anime con, but you'll get it's a similar kind of energy. There's a girl there dressed up as Opa Opa from Fantasy Zone. And it's like, fuck. Number one, I'm the Sega guy, so of course. But number two is like, fuck. Like,
I know what that is.
even among like
That's
the
good for Sega people.
yeah, but we know
We
that.
have working brains.
But it's that it's like I saw.
Did you ask her if she was a fan of blast processing?
But it's like you go to. I went to the screening of the new Code Geass movie,
I did as well.
the Resurrection,
I enjoyed the movie. I absolutely hated the crowd.
and
And to reiterate for people who didn't hear me rant about that, the reason I hated it was because A, half of them were on their phones talking the entire time, and B, there were others every time there was a slight fan servicey moment, yelling and hooting and hollering in a way that was really annoying.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, I get liking that sort of stuff, but can you be fucking quiet?
so I'm in the screening, and when we're walking out, I count like no less than 4 other people dressed as Zero, dressed as
Yeah, of
Nero
course.
or Lelouch or C2.
You know,
all
the
these
people working at the theater are probably like, what the fuck?
Well, it wasn't even. This was at the anime convention.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So
Then no, they weren't.
Yeah, but it's like everyone is so pumped all the time for everything. And the reason this is important,
I
the
was
reason it's
pumped
important
go see
to
Char's counterattack on the big screen, and I fucking own it.
yeah, exactly. But the reason this is important, the reason it's important to be the person who cosplays Yuri Otani, even though you know for a fact 5 other people on the planet have seen Alien 9. The reason
you
that's
want to?
important is because it generates an upward spiral of that sort of positivity and that sort of passion. That's something we need.
For sure.
Cosplaying as that girl from Aria that just goes, what? And that's the only thing I know about Aria.
Like again, there's certain cosplays that seem to be kind of eternal, and by that I mean, you know what I mean. Like I've seen them at every pretty much one I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I mean, like Sailor Senshi, there's always one. I mean, there's always one. There's always a Mars, a Venus, a Jupiter, an Ami, or somebody. Seems like it. You know, there's usually a Tifa. I usually see them. There's often, I mean, there's always some kind of Saiyan. Or Naruto or anything like that.
Yeah, but there's stuff like I went to the
Pyramid Head's another one. You see them a lot.
well, number one, there was a panel, I think 1 or 2 anime Bostons ago, that was just all about Char. So that's number one.
I'd go
So
to that.
number one, there's the person running that panel, and then number two, I think there might have been like every permutation of Char Aznable cosplayed in that panel. Because there was Char
with the helmet, without any helmet.
There was 1 Year War Char Aznable. There was Quattro Bagina. I believe there was a Char's counterattack Char Aznable. There was Char from episode 3 of Origin in the vest with the. I think he had Garma with him too.
Oh, that's great.
It's like. It's
when I was at Acon in 2019. When we went to that Gundam panel, which again, that whole thing was a clusterfuck, but it was a good panel. Can't blame them for the fuck ups around them. And the main guy, was dressed up as Char, and he looked like he had the 0079.
Yep.
You know, set up, you know, with the helmet and everything. He wasn't wearing the helmet, but you know what I mean. He had the whole thing before he went in there, and he did really good. He was tall, and he looked, you know, had the cape and everything. Looked very nice. Totally was clearly who knows how much he spent on that thing. And he did a really good panel too. And to the point, I don't know if I mentioned this when we did that episode, but Derek was with us, and he asked a really obscure question, you know, to get some free shit, some swag. And like, it was something along the lines of, what was the weapon that wasn't in the movies, but was in the TV series in this one episode or whatever.
I could actually answer that. I know.
Yeah, and he did too. And by the way, it was Super Napalm.
Oh no, I was gonna say the hammer, the Gundam hammer.
That's what, because I remember you asked me that question, K Gods, and I said the hammer.
Yeah, because that was the first thing I thought too, and it was like, oh fuck, I wouldn't even have thought of that. Because it is true that the hammer. I'm probably phrasing the question a little wrong because I mean I didn't get it, but the point was it was the Super Napalm, and I was like, fuck, I wouldn't have thought of that. And he got it. Holy shit, he got it. Some of them were pretty easy that any of us could have answered, like who are 5 of the zombies?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, any of us could have probably done that in our sleep. I just didn't have my hand up as fast as somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I could have done that, something like that in my sleep. It's kind of like when you go to like a game thing and they have like trivia and it's just so easy. It's just a matter of them calling on you, not if you know it.
Oh, we had at one of the events at the college, the video game club ran a game trivia competition, and please believe I fucking destroyed that I got so many art books out of that.
Like, I think I told you guys, I don't know if I did it on an episode or not, but it was in 2010 or 2011, probably 2010. They had like a Mega Man panel.
Mm.
And yes, somebody I know is like, was there role porn? you know they're thinking that if they're listening to this right now. I know you are. Anyway, though, they were playing musical clips just a little bit, and whoever could catch what they were in the short amount of the clip you were given would win stuff. You know, and I got the Mega Man art book, which, by the way, when I actually looked it up, it's at least a $50 art book.
Mm.
It's really good. It's got all the like mechanical designs from the original Mega Man franchise. It's got a bunch of little bits about inspiration behind stuff and just little notes and all kinds of shit like that. Pretty cool stuff, and it certainly was worth getting for free, just because I was able to know like the musical bit they played. And again, not to say that other people didn't. I guess I just snapped my hand up faster than somebody else. And by the way, it was the Woodman theme.
Mm.
That's not even obscure. That's in a lot of videos and memes and shit.
To bring it back to the topic, this is all shit that you can't do if you're still stuck in this. I'm otaku trash. Blah blah. The stuff I like is trash, etc. Personality. Like you can't pull that off if you actively think you're trash for liking the stuff.
Bad.
And the issue with that entire phrase is that repeated over time it becomes like repeated over time it
you hear something long enough
damage.
You start to believe it.
If you do something ironically every day of your life, how ironic is it really anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I to be fair, I stole that bit from I think it was the Max, where the Clay tells Sarah that it's like you hear stuff long enough, you buy it. Wait, talking about people that you guys think there's room for a little bit of self-deprecation, though? Sure.
I think that's gonna be that's a valuable conversation to have after we're out of the paradigm that was created by people who actually do think we're trash for liking the wrong anime.
It's hard to actually have that little bit of self-deprecation there when people around you will think you're serious and agree with you.
Well, when people around you will think you deserve to think that way about yourself for real because you like the wrong cartoons.
Yeah, really. I mean, and the thing is this, none of this is new. When I got into this stuff, there was always this level of it there on some. It's just that people weren't as online as they are now. And social media and all that. And plus there's new crops of people that sort of are coming in after all this horse shit has already kind of taken place. And it just sort of, like you said, sort of exists in the background, poisoning the well and all that.
Want
Yeah.
some shit on your shit sandwich?
yeah.
That
Yo,
was an
dog,
extra helping of
yo,
shit
dog, I
on my
heard you
sandwich.
like trash. So we got some trash in your trash. So you got us Icon?
But yeah, I I think it's there's certainly there's certainly room for self-deprecating humor, definitely. But the issue is that in portraying the entirety of this paradigm as self-deprecating humor, we're missing the fact that this
Wait,
there
currently, anybody I see that does that, the self-deprecating thing, I never see them doing something that indicates that it's a joke. I never see them doing something that indicates they actually love this shit. It's always this sort of like kind of meandering, kind of like, yeah, I like this thing.
it's usually a deflection, so they don't have to
First off,
discuss why
what
they
do you have
like
to
it.
answer to any of these people?
Yeah, it's it's
Like,
very
what are they? What,
easy
like,
to
especially at a con. Like, what are these fucking people gonna do? Follow you home?
like here's how easy it is.
Normie con.
You know, I just I don't have to explain to you why I like it. That's how
Oh.
easy it is, but people don't do it because they're for for whatever reason. I don't even get it.
I mean, like, here it is, and I do think it is, like we've said all along, it is sort of a has not come into sort of their like, okay, you know, you are a nerd, stop fucking around, just accept it, you are one, you know, stop trying to pretend you're not. I think there's a certain level of that's not happening. Like this struggle, sort of like, yeah, but I'm not one of those people. It sort of created this weird caste system of dorks, and to the point where in some cases it's literal because I've seen charts.
Well, I think some people sort of cling to the kinds of social environments that they failed to navigate during high school, and
And
so
they're trying to be the kings of the ones they're in now.
yes, and not realizing that.
We don't care.
Well, number one, realizing that we don't care. Number two, not realizing that there are other ways you can build social hierarchies that aren't merely this
Like, okay.
this group of people holds this other group of people underfoot. Like this group of people holds active contempt for this group of people below them, who in turn hold active contempt for this group of people below them, and like the only way the group at the bottom can elevate is if all of the other groups have been elevated before them. So like
Truth telling time. Okay. All right. And maybe this would be a good way to end it.
Go for it.
Unless you still have more stuff to say.
go for it.
Okay. All right. So, what's the most shameless you've ever been in public with your anime? Probably at a con, because there's a lot of people there.
I love Strike Witches.
Really?
No, that's not the most shameless, but that's the first thing that came to
That's a
mind
great one, though.
when
Okay.
when the hosts were kind of shitting on Strike Witches.
And
as
you're just sitting there with this big shit-eating grin.
fucking as soon as the room goes silent, says, I love Strike Witches.
And
And
I
they,
think
they
you
actually-
and here's the thing, they couldn't hate. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Hate on me for liking Strike Witches? I'm in their panel.
Me saying, what about Garzu's Wing? Although I didn't want to say it too loud because I was kind of I was kind of joking,
But
but at
so,
the same time, I didn't want to be like a dick to Tomino.
well, so
Yeah,
here
to be fair, Tomino's like one of the few guys that could probably punch you from across the room somehow, and you not know how he did it. Both because
He
he's
used his new
old, both
he used
both,
his new type powers.
yeah. He's like
You hear the ting?
sort of like almost some kind of force choke thing.
But so this might be the real answer to your question. I ran the EFTA Pentai panel for several years.
That alone is pretty shameless.
It's some, but some of the stuff I showed at that panel, yeah, It's a shameless thing to do habitually at anime conventions and repeatedly get praise for it.
And constantly look stuff up to swap things in and out.
Yeah, exactly. Have to expose myself to
Oh,
all
this
this
is way worse. This
vile
one's definitely
bullshit.
going in.
Yeah, exactly. But
Okay, I'll go ahead.
go for it.
I don't think I can say any specific thing, and one of them wasn't even me. It was just something I witnessed. Most of the time when I go anywhere that people are selling dojins or porn or art books or anything, you'll see some interesting types of people in line. Most of which are just pretty normal. Occasionally, you'll see the people that are clearly uncomfortable with being there, but their thirst for smut is overcoming that.
Yeah, you can't have any shame when you're
Oh,
trying to
listen,
browse the dojo.
You can, but like, there's no
It's
reason to. They
counterproductive.
don't care.
I asked the guy, "Do you have Show Bitch by Salad?" And he looked it up and was like, "No."
Well, okay. Well, I mean, like, I am the guy that would go up and go, "Yeah, give me that," or whatever. Or do you have any of this, and that? Like, I'm not going to be shy at all.
Like, I remember the first anime boss night I went to
But
was at AB
nothing will
2009.
prepare me for a Hindane moment.
Oh,
Where I'm sitting there, all right, and I'm fumbling through stuff. I don't know what I was looking for. It was a long time ago. But I'll never forget what the guy to my right said that was talking to one of the dudes behind the booth there. To which he goes, "Yeah, that one, the one with the rape."
The one with the rape.
The one with the rape.
yeah, so, exactly.
Like
What is-
and not even being funny. Like, not even trying to be like comedic or saying it in a weird voice or anything. Just, yeah, the one with the rape.
Yeah, he knew the product that he wanted.
Oh, I almost bought a trap.
Which I was just like, it was one of those like out of body experience moments. Like, did that just really happen?
That's really the thing, is that, like, when you're at that booth, having shame is counterproductive. If you're trying
Especially
to,
if you want something specific. One of
Exactly.
the dudes there, I was telling him about. We were just bullshitting, right? I mean, I wasn't even buying anything at that point. We were just talking, right? And that happens too, especially if you got downtime there.
oh, absolutely.
And I was talking to him. He's like, I was telling him how I was a fan for a long time and whatnot, some stuff. I was telling him about how I like this little known OVA, and I don't know how this got brought up. Something, I guess we were just talking about that. And I said, "Did you ever see Outlanders?" Like, this one OVA. He's like, "Not only have I seen it, we actually have a doujin drawn by the guy who made it," and I bought it.
Exactly.
I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Posted that. It's like, holy shit, that's the green chick. It's like, with the green hair and like sort of the princessy look. Okay, I'll take it just on principle. I mean, stuff like that happens all the time, from what I understand. Weird things like that.
It's
But-
the kind of serendipitous things
Yeah,
that
it can
happen
be.
at an anime convention. And
To those of you out there, though, who are sort of these kind of more meek types when they're buying their smut at dojins and stuff, trust me, they're not going to make fun of you
no,
at all.
they're selling the shit. Like,
At worst, they'll make a joke.
they'll make a joke that's going to be funny to you because
Like,
they
okay,
understand
I
where
saw
you're coming
somebody-
from.
I probably shouldn't say their name because they might not like that. But we'll just say they were at J-List, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And they sort of shamelessly bought a Onahole, a Miku, a Vocaloid one.
Get your own holes! Get your own holes
Yeah.
here!
And it was Peter Payne, of course.
Get your fake vaginas
yeah.
here!
Yeah. And he said something really funny as they were leaving. He says, "Take your relationship to the Vocaloids to the next level." And also gave him a free tissue.
Of course.
which that whole thing was funny to me. Again, I'm not saying it because, like,
Meanwhile, on YouTube,
I don't
there's-
really associate with them very much anymore, and I'm not trying to pick on them or anything. So, and the
Meanwhile,
reason I isn't even because I have a problem with them. So,
I saw a thing on YouTube that was like someone interviewing the guy that married the Hatsune Miku in Japan, specifically the hologram thing, the pseudo hologram thing of Hatsune Miku.
Yeah. I mean, and then of course you had the people that they bring up all the time, like, oh, they're marrying their body pillows or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Which
it's
I
really
honestly
like,
get tired of those.
well, that's like one guy who did that.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It's like there are 14 cringe weebs, like actual cringe weebs, minus people with autism, minus people who are teenagers. There's like 14 actual cringe weebs worldwide.
But don't be alarmed. I'm sure some of you out there will be there to record them. Yeah.
But that's really the thing. That's what it comes down to is by adopting this self, like,
I think these people aren't having fun.
yeah, it's like by adopting
Which
this
I
self,
don't understand and think is counterproductive to being a part of it.
you're
why
robbing
would you-
yourself of so much.
Yeah, and it's like, and for what? So people that probably don't like you anyway will not pick on you.
It's
I
like-
don't get it.
So Twitter randos won't
Yeah.
shit on you
like,
for
oh no, dipshit My Hero Academia fan 8765309 is there to remind you that the stuff you like is bad. Never seen this person before, probably never will again. So they can go fuck themselves somewhere.
It's like they're just trying to.
To me, when people interject themselves negatively into a circle like that,
Yeah,
like when people are having a conversation about something and somebody will just kind of slowly slide in, like they're trying to get into some girl's DMs or something, and just be like, "Yeah, you guys are a bunch of losers, yeah," and you're all just thinking, "Why are you here?"
yeah. It's like who was that guy?
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, apparently the asylum does let people out on leave for weekends. Cool. No, I don't get it. It's just one of those things I don't have time for. Like
yeah.
why? Like, I don't give a shit if you have problem XYZ with thing ABC I'm into, unless you're trying to get it banned. Your opinion has no value. And if you are trying to get it banned, it has value, but not a good one. And that's the insidious thing. The people that want to get stuff banned, but then try to act like they're just being critiqued, or they're critiquing something.
Yeah, and
Oh no, I'm not saying it should be banned. I'm just saying that if you like it, you're a piece of shit that deserves to die in a fire.
yeah, and that also plays into why this I am trash mentality is so.
Oh
prevalent.
no, because it's shielding. It is absolutely. I don't want that to happen to me, and I get that. I mean, some people can't deal with shit like that. I get that, but at the same time, these people going unchecked doesn't help this situation one bit.
And definitely, in the situation is definitely also not helped by people kind of curving away from it rather than
Pretending there's not a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh no, it's totally normal for people to be fucking bullied to near suicide over some stupid shit that doesn't matter.
It's totally normal for only one subsection of this subculture to constantly call themselves trash for liking what they like, and like that's not questioned.
And it's totally normal for there to be people that do said antagonizing, and they're celebrated like some kind of fucking folk heroes or something. Looking at you, A&N.
Yeah, so it's number one, it's important to have passion because that creates the positive spiral, and again,
Well,
that's something that
quite
we
frankly,
really
if you
need in the
don't-
subculture right now.
How would you even create?
Exactly.
I mean, really, if it's not driven by that, certainly it's going to have to be for anime. You're not making a shit ton of money in most cases. So you're not
So-
doing it for the money most of the time. I assure you that.
How's that High Guardian Spice doing?
Who?
Exactly.
Um,
So it's that.
has it come out anywhere on any platform? Been 2 years since.
Well, it's like this. Like maybe if some of you higher ups at some of these places, like A&N, Crunchyroll, or whatnot, weren't spending your fucking money on cruises and giving each other lavish fucking offices or whatever, you'd have more competent fucking infrastructure.
I honestly, I doubt that because a lot of them
Well,
lack
yeah,
the
because
exact, they lack the exact kind of passion that we're talking about. That needs to be more normalized in the subcultures. Like number
But
one,
hey,
you gotta have
one of them
passion.
almost got in on a Taku coin
Hey.
until they found out, until like the mob that they fucking bowed down to found out that they were that someone else was involved that had issues that they didn't like.
Yep.
And then the mob came for him anyway, and basically had to bow out, which quite frankly you deserved all of that. Because you associated yourself with idiots that fucking do, like you said, they like you for superficial reasons and they really do hate you for real ones.
Yeah.
So
That's it's important to be passionate, and it's important to call out how weird this behavior is.
yeah, because I mean, think about it. If you step outside of all this and really just like write it down on paper or something, how fucking goofy is a lot of it? Like you're sitting there spending potentially hours on the internet to dig at people you don't actually know, like things that you don't like, and are spending enormous amounts of time and energy trying to go got them to somebody who probably doesn't care very much.
Yeah, somebody who's spending their time and energy doing some shit they enjoy.
Like it really does remind me of when you had that article on your one of your websites there, and the dipshit that showed up in the comments section basically tried to give you a hard time because you weren't talking about some bullshit current event.
Yeah.
Like that does not have anything to do with anime in any way, in any form.
It's
Like-
people who want everyone to be miserable like they are, and
I think it's subconsciously though too.
it's certainly subconscious. But either way, you can't fucking do not under any circumstance like acquiesce to that mentality. Don't
Definitely
do it because
I'll also
it
throw
never
this out
ends. It's a downward spiral.
Arguing with these people is pointless, by the way, but because they're not coming from a place of good faith. They don't care. If you point out hypocrisy, they still don't care, and it's more effective just to mock them.
Yeah,
That actually does bother them.
it does.
They say it doesn't, but it's obvious it does because they flip into these fucking infantile tantrums online again about stuff that usually does not matter most of the time. Like Japanese artists fucking trolling some of these people by painting dark-skinned characters white. Like, imagine what level of not having a life you have to have for that to actually bother you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, don't you have shit to do at home? Like, do you not do your own laundry or something, you know?
That's the thing, is that these are people who basically spend their entire lives online, particularly on Twitter. And
we should point out that this, not to get too socio-political here, but it actually does play into this. The whole being cooped up inside because of the Rona has made it way, way worse.
100%.
Because
there's
people
no
that
doubt in my
normally
mind.
would be outside fucking aren't. So they're seeing these idiots all the time, and these idiots that are too scared to go outside now have nothing better to do but then just fucking play around on social media and get pissed at dumb and unimportant shit.
Yep.
So you have this. So it's a perfect storm because you have people that can't do much else, so they're stuck inside. So they decide to play around on the internet. Again, can't knock them too much if you can't go outside, depending on where you live. And then you've got these other fucking, should I say, just almost sociopathic people that are basically always on anyway. And these people both are sharing the same space for most of the day.
Exactly. And that's why, as I pointed out, it's important, especially for the anime subculture and especially for more niche parts of the anime subculture. Listen, if we're gonna be if we're gonna be all online and we don't have a choice, we need to create spaces away from people who
From,
categorically
from
harass anime fans.
yeah, I mean, like, first off, why do you want to put up with these idiots? Like there's some people that just sort of, and I think this kind of plays into the, anime is trash and so am I kind of thing you said earlier. There's a certain level of permissiveness by doing that
Oh, absolutely.
that I think has basically said, hey, it's perfectly okay. It's not that it's okay, it's that I'm not going to do anything about it
Exactly.
if people do fuck with them. And again, none of this is new. I mean, like even back in the 90s, before all this social media stuff, you had like these articles in magazines that would, interestingly enough, they wouldn't be going after Moe. They'd be bitching about crappy, or at least crappy to them. Wasn't to me necessarily. Bad, violent OVAs.
Right.
It's like, oh, there's low grade trash like MD Geist, which now these same idiots actually try to praise, by the way.
Well, so it's a cycle. So a long time ago, MD
In a
stuff like
galaxy far,
MD,
far away,
some stuff like MD Geist was the unacceptable thing to like. Then
it was low grade bad stuff.
then it became acceptable to like as a meme. Now it's
And when you say meme, let's be real. You don't mean like a know your meme picture.
no, I don't
You
mean like
mean
an
it in
internet
the
meme.
Dawkins concept of an actual meme.
Well, I mean as like a joke, as like a commonly thing said in a joking manner.
Like it's cool to like it because and ironic because it's super violent and its plot is this and that and
Exactly.
it's not cute girls and it's yeah.
Exactly. And then
Or
and now
you could be base like me and draw Yui from K-On! In MD Geist armor.
yeah,
Which, by the
exactly.
way, did you ever post that on any of those forums?
No, but it was hilarious that Mike Toole noticed that.
Did he cry?
No, he liked it, but I eventually blocked
okay.
it because I can't stand it. So
No. There's a reason his last name is Tool.
But so it's not now like you're not gonna get shit on for liking MD Geist, and now the Moe thing and Ecchi are going through that same cycle where now it's acceptable to like them as a meme. You can't like
Now you can't like idols or isekai or this other shit.
right.
Yeah, it really does.
Shield Hero.
Sword Art
Well-
Online.
Yeah.
Right, but let's be real. The reason you can't like those is coming from a different place.
True.
Though it's not coming from this is violent or this is brainless and cute. It's like this is sexist. This is offensive to women.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
four
a
years
different
on,
criticism.
and Arrow Manga Sensei still is offending people.
Well, fucking ANN was still like apparently when what was it? Was it the second season of or was it Arrow Manga Sensei when that came out where evidently ANN was still reeling from Ori Emo.
You mean the show that their headmaster crapped on, and then they were streaming it
Then they
fucking a
tried
week
streaming
later?
it in their short-lived stint during streaming. So
Until an episode got out before it was supposed to be aired.
and so here's another good point, and maybe we'll actually end on this.
Okay.
Regardless of what what these people who actually think you are trash say, and regardless of what they do, they have no power. They have no real power as far as anime goes. Because, hey, ANN can shit on Ori Imo all they want. We still got a second season. We still got Aramanga Sensei. Their light novels out there still
And
selling, I
quite
guarantee
frankly,
it.
if it comes down to Ori Emo existing or ANN dying off, Ori Emo wins every time.
Yeah. Do not argue with the
I mean,
people
personally.
do not argue with the people who spend hundreds of dollars on cute anime girl shit, because you're going to lose that battle every time. And this is something people need to internalize.
As money is the bottom line, you definitely will.
Yeah, and this is something people need to internalize. That listen, if you're the person spending hundreds of dollars on cute anime girl shit, you're winning the battle, regardless of how it looks on a social level, regardless of what dumb people on Twitter say about the cartoons you like, or about
Anime
capitalism
surviving
especially.
the death of capitalism.
Regardless of any of that,
will never not
you
be
are on the
funny.
winning side of the battle.
I can't believe I actually saw that. At first, I thought it was something somebody photoshopped. Because I was like, nobody can be that stupid.
Regardless of what any of those idiots are saying, if you're
He
on
is
the
that
side
stupid.
of the people who are spending hundreds of dollars on cute anime girl stuff, you're on the winning side of the battle. And
Now,
they
remember,
can
kids, knowledge is power.
they can call people names, they can harass
But as
people.
long as people still fork up the money, you're fucked.
Their fucking opinion is not worth as much as fucking these $150 anime figures. It's not worth that much, and people need to understand that internally. Then people who like this stuff need to understand that the $150 that they're spending on the anime figure and the anime figure that they're getting for that needs to be worth more to them than some rando's opinion on the internet. And for that reason,
I'm posting something in the chat.
the
Put this on your desk.
such and such trash mentality needs to go. After that, we can talk about self-deprecation and whatnot, etc. But first things first is this is trash and so am I mentality needs to fucking go, because it's not doing anyone any good other than people who lack a spine and don't want to. They want to deflect from having to quote unquote explain themselves, seemingly not understanding that there's no obligation for them to explain themselves to anyone.
There's that strange sensation that every time you buy a Dojin or an Ecchi figure or some unmentionable, these people get mad.
You know what? Yeah, and I on some level, I kind of like that.
There is this sort of sadistic kind of like, yeah, your tears lubricate my wallet.
Because you know what? If I'm out here buying and selling ecchi figures, slinging these ecchi figures out here, if I'm out here buying and selling these doujinshi, if I'm out here buying this ecchi anime, spending hundreds of dollars on this cute anime girl stuff, and that makes you mad, that's fucking your fault. You need to fix that.
I'll hit Toilet Chan. Do you still sell that?
No, my distributor ran out.
Aw. Okay. Anyway,
case-
that was fun. I mean, there's obviously we'll probably revisit this again because it's not going away.
Nendoroid Toilet Chan with a little little Nendoroid sized toilet.
I really hope they don't have a bobble butt instead of a bobblehead. That everything about that's alarming.
Oh, I remember when you know the anime Tenjo Tenge?
Yeah.
Of course.
They had bobble breasts. They had they had like these trading figures, yeah, with bobble breasts.
Nice. Well then, so yeah, I think that's gonna be it. This was probably seemed like a more hostile episode than we've been doing lately, but it really did come to a head
Shit we had to say.
because it doesn't seem to be. It's not that it's not getting any better. It's that it's weird. I think Wombat mentioned this when we had him on once, that I think it was him, who basically said there's almost like these two different cultures that are growing at the same time. And one of them is the anime culture we're talking about, the people that are fans of it. And there's this other one that sort of came in from outside that's trying to basically siphon off from it.
Yeah.
Whether it's for clout or just like cred or whatever the fuck it is. And basically these people are basically it's just parasitism.
It's that, and I really just feel like there are people in like our side of the anime subculture who aren't hearing this stuff. Like they're not hearing
that it's a problem. I don't know.
Well, they're not hearing that. Yeah, if people have a problem with you buying cute anime girl stuff, that's on
It's
them.
their problem, not yours. I mean, really, at the end of the day, like, oh, this is offensive to XYZ. Well, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
What does being offended even mean? Like, oh, I don't like this thing. So fucking
So
what?
what? You don't have to watch it.
What does that even mean? This is offensive. This offends me. Who the fuck are you? Why
Like,
do I care?
I had an article on She'sLostControl.net. It's like how to end a conversation. It's like
Because that's, to me, a conversation ender.
that.
Oh, this offends me. That's your fucking problem.
well,
How's that mine?
This is sexist. Okay, we can't talk
And?
about that.
And
Or I'm not interested in talking about that. I would question anyone who is interested in talking about that.
And again, even if you're right, and unless you're planning on trying to make it hard for me to get it,
Exactly.
I don't see why that point matters. Because at the end of the day, you really don't like the idea of people being given the choice to like what they like. If it bothers you, you think it shouldn't be available for other people.
And
ultimately, that's your game right there.
And a lot of the time, people will do whatever is necessary to get closer to that, and sometimes that involves denigrating the people who do like that stuff, trying to create
shame them into compliance,
trying to create a chilling effect around liking it, so it'll be apparent from the outside looking in that if you like this stuff, you will get this treatment.
How many times have you seen like a video game? I see this more in video games, but we'll use that for an example. A video game where they take out some minute thing, like, I don't know, breast physics or something like that, some like weird little addition thing, and people go into these fucking tirades about it's just one little part, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, well, obviously it doesn't matter to you, but it might to them.
Yep, and that's
but they make it's like, fine, you know, they don't need your money anyway. And it's just like, actually, they do. They don't need your money because you don't put your money where your mouth is, ever. Quite frankly, if you've seen these people amongst themselves talking, anytime these companies comply and they take something out, they're usually high-fiving each other and then saying, I mean, I wasn't going to buy it anyway, but it's a start. They'll say some bullshit like that, which... You people up over, and you can't really blame the Japanese people because there's the language barrier, and probably a lot of them don't actually know that behavior is a thing. Because let's be real here, once it gets licensed over here, they don't care usually.
Right. They have.
I mean, unless it's something they're invested in on a bigger level, once it's out of their hands, they just don't care. And again, I totally get that. I mean, because who gives a fuck? They're not Japanese, you know. I don't give a shit what they do. But at the same time, I do think if they knew these people were doing that, they might take a harder stance on it in terms of contractual obligation to leave it the fuck alone.
Mm.
You know how Miyazaki sent the sword?
No cuts.
No cuts. That's what I mean. I mean, now granted, I think it's because he's very invested in what he does.
Right. Yeah, he's an auteur.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, he knows about what they did with Nausicaa in the 80s.
Right, exactly. Like
Right.
he's an auteur, so he cares very deeply about his work, and he found out what they were doing to his work. So he said, "Yeah,
You know, actually, yeah,
I'm gonna low key threaten you."
Most people don't actually care that much when it gets over here. They really don't. From what I can tell, it's just out of sight, out of mind. at that point, because it's like, well, that's their job to deal with all that shit. But like you said, but the point is, I don't know how many times I've seen that happen, where like they take some feature away, like, oh, like panties or like, you know, a costume that's revealing or something, and then like, you know, people will have like a total flip out or spurg out or whatever you want to call it, and then they come marching in, they're like, yeah, who cares if they took this thing out, it was stupid anyway.
Mhm.
Or what have you. It's like,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
stop,
They're
stop
basically
being a
defending the
baby
act.
about it.
Yeah.
It's just like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? It's not your thing.
No, it's people thinking that their opinion is worth more than it really is, and I honestly just think
Offensive
that
thing
some people.
is the ultimate ender for me. It's just you're offended, and I don't care.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm offended. Well, so
yeah, your opinion isn't worth the price of that Blu-ray, the price of that
if my
game.
friend says they're offended, I might listen to them.
Maybe.
Maybe I might still tell them to fuck off too. You never know. But at the end of the day, like, especially if I don't know you, why the fuck would I take your opinion on something that I like seriously?
But that is something people need to internalize, that these people's opinions are not worth the fucking
No.
it's not worth as much as the money you're spending to get the thing you care about, and it's important that people understand that at a deep level, because I think that's people aren't hearing that. It's like fuck.
It's frustrating. It really can, because you see a lot of the same things over and over again. Like, again, somebody marches in, says they're offended, and then they try to change something. And sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not.
If I gave
But
a
the
fuck
point-
what any of these people cared about, I wouldn't own 2 of these quarter scale Bunny Girl figures, because that's like $500 total. I could.
Do you have? Here's a real simple litmus test. Do you
Make sure
have-
to send your Yase bunny figures to.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ever do that.
Like, okay, here we go. Here's a good litmus test. Do you have a Dakimakura? Now, I'm saying if you have one, you're probably not somebody who gives a whole lot of a shit about other people's opinion. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's like
Because let's be real here. If you have a Dakimakura and a stranger comes in your room, unless they're an anime fan, they're not going to know what to make of that. And even if they are one, they still might be a little alarmed.
it's like no, people just need to stop valuing other randos' opinions on the internet as much as they do, and
A lot of, and that is an American problem, a Western problem, but a uniquely American problem, because we have the same problem with celebrities. We attach importance to their opinions about shit that doesn't matter. Like you pointed that thing about Jarul.
well, yeah,
You know, with like about 9/11 or whatever, how
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle went on this bit about how like who the fuck cares about their opinion on foreign policy? Why would you care? What gives them any insight into the hat? It's just an opinion. So, I mean, but that is kind of a thing with Americans. I've noticed that is that there is this weird attachment of importance to opinions of celebrities. Like they have like some kind of unique perspective onto things that other people don't have, and unless that thing is money or the craft they're in, probably not.
this is my bottom line. I'm saying this for like saying this for like the impact, but if you care deeply about the opinions of randos, such that it's gonna affect you in such a way where you adopt this anime is trash and so am I mentality to try and shield yourself from that, just throw out all the anime stuff you own. Like I'm not saying to do that, but you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much money did you spend on that anime stuff? And if you're if you care
If,
that much
if
about,
one random person you don't know and that doesn't know you can make you feel bad for that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going with that.
again, I'm
It's
not
all
saying
very
that
strange to me.
I'm not saying to
I
do
mean,
that, but just and we'll actually end on this. I'm not saying to do that, but think about it. Like sit down and think about that that whole paradigm.
by the way, motherfucker, I have those Oscar bed sheets. They're not on right now, but I have them. People who've been paying attention for a long time will know what I mean by that.
In any case, that's the show. The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntrradio.net. VZ's stuff is at vzmk2moemekagatai.wordpress.com. His book is The Big Book of Idols. You can find that at thebigbookofIdols.com. He does the designs on all the NTR Radio merch. That is at iyashike.moe/store. iyashike.moe being where I write articles about otaku lifestyle, otaku self-development, a lot of the kind of paradigms, like if you resonated with a lot of the stuff that we said on this podcast, this particular episode, iyashike.moe will probably have stuff that you would enjoy reading. I also
By the way,
run
our merch, go into our merch. We have mugs now.
Yes, sir. I drank some hot lemonade out of one earlier today because I was preparing for the Asobi FM stream.
They're pretty snazzy.
I also run otakuentrepreneur.com where I talk about business and finance from an otaku perspective, as well as my book, Otaku Entrepreneur, which I got that back from the editor last week and it's all edited. So now it's just a matter of getting the ISBN numbers and getting it printed. I'm aiming for an early June release. So keep an eye out for that.
So be looking around. D-Day is coming.
Yes, sir. Utami Records is the record label that I made up. I make music. As mentioned previously on this episode, the album's coming out this week. Yeah, like the week of the 25th. The first
Okay.
paradigm, which is also a joke that became real.
Again, look forward to possible barrel-related atrocities in the future.
I am on Twitter at TAnubis. VZ is on Twitter at VZMK2. The show is on Twitter at NTR_radio. The irony is not lost on me that I said, yeah, otaku shouldn't be on Twitter, but we're all on Twitter.
To be fair, you were also shilling other stuff outside of the
Yeah,
otaku stuff.
what I say about Twitter is that if you don't have a brand to build, or if you don't have some kind like something that requires some sort of marketing and advertising, you probably shouldn't be on Twitter. Check out the Bakugajin Show, Otaku Midnight, and Asobi FM, which was just recorded a new episode earlier today, this Sunday. So keep a lookout for that. The Geeky Panda stuff is at thegeekypanda.net. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm K-Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
And even though we're trash every time we say this,